Chapter 168. The next day Lin Muyu woke up early in the morning. She was wearing the armor of a gold star training partner from the Holy Sanctum, which was also embedded with a buoyancy gem. The biggest difference between this outfit and her previous one was the dark blue underwear underneath the armor. This was the uniform of the high-ranking generals of the empire. The dark blue fabric was very hard, and there were 2 military insignia embedded on the collar. Behind the golden purple flower was a golden 6-pointed star, representing the rank of a chiliarch. Feng Jixing's military insignia was a golden purple flower with 3 golden 6-pointed stars behind it. Just like the strict ranking system, chiliarchs had 1 star, captaincy had 2 stars and commanders had 3 stars. As for the imperial marshal, no one knew. Along the way maids walked hand in hand, some with tears on their faces. When Lin Muyu, who was wearing the Holy Sanctum's battle robe, rode his horse slowly past, one of the maids recognized him and called out softly, "Are you Lord Lin Yan, game envoy?" Lin Muyu turned around with a warm smile on her face. "Lin Yan is not my real identity. I am Lin Muyu from the Holy Sanctum of the Empire, the commander of the Eagle Nest Battalion of the Imperial Guards. I came to the headquarters of the House of Chivalry just to get rid of it." The maid was stunned for a moment, then smiled. "Thank you, Lord Lin Muyu. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we would still be living in humiliation for the rest of our lives." "You're welcome. This is what a soldier of the Empire should do." Lin Muyu cupped his fists and rode away. Chu Huaying grabbed the reins and followed her. He smiled and said, "I'm afraid not every soldier of the Empire is like you think." Lin Muyu grinned. "I know." In the afternoon they arrived at Lanyan City. Wei Chou led the people of Eagle Nest camp up the mountain and returned to the camp, while Lin Muyu entered Lanyan City alone. When she arrived at the mercenary union, it was already afternoon. The place had almost become a tavern. Many warriors reeking of alcohol were waiting here to accept tasks, and many customers came and went with solemn faces. When Lin Muyu appeared in the Holy Temple's battle robe, she immediately attracted a lot of attention. A staff member with a protruding mouth and ape-like cheeks walked over and smiled. "My lady, may I know what mission you have come to our mercenary union for? Escort or murder and plunder?" Lin Muyu said lightly, "I won't kill anyone. I just want to ask, is there anyone from the Longdan Army Camp mercenary group here?" Yes. "Ah, idiots from the Longdan Army Camp. Come here, someone is looking for you." At this time a bearded man in the corner put down the wine pot, grabbed the battle axe on the table and said with a smile, "Who is looking for Grandpa?" He wore a mercenary emblem on his chest, which was the emblem of the Longdan Army Camp. It was the emblem that Luo Yu had redesigned and changed. It was a dragon-shaped design with the 3 Chinese characters of the Longdan Army Camp at the back. Note: please don't ask me why they use Chinese characters. My explanation is that the Chinese culture is broad and profound, and its domineering aura penetrated the plane and taught this group of mortals from the Shattered Cauldron realm. The burly man was obviously drunk. He swayed in front of Lin Muyu with his battle axe, raised his eyebrows and said, "Who are you and why are you looking for me?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but feel a little speechless. She asked, "Are you from the Longdan Army Camp? If you are, bring me to see your deputy commander Luo Yu." "If you want to see Lord Luo Yu, why don't you ask me about this axe first?" The drunkard's vision was blurry. How could he tell that Lin Muyu was wearing the armor of a high-ranking general of the empire? He swung the axe at her head. Lin Muyu was stunned. What kind of person was this? However, this burly man's vital energy was very thick and he seemed to be at the first level of the Earth realm. He had the strength, but his luck was a little lacking. No, strictly speaking, his alcohol tolerance was a little lacking. This was a wine dregs. A large group of people surrounded them to watch the fight, and all of them had their eyes wide open. Lin Muyu was furious and she turned around and took 2 steps back. She opened her palm lightly and battle energy surrounded every finger. With a pa sound she grabbed the edge of the battle axe and pulled it back. Even though she couldn't compare to this burly man in terms of height and weight, she was much stronger. She directly pulled the burly man and the axe over, and with a sudden lift of her battle knee, she lightly struck the burly man's abdomen with a pa sound. "Ah!" The burly man immediately hugged his abdomen and knelt down, vomiting almost all the wine he had drunk. He had sobered up a lot, and when he looked up he saw Lin Muyu in the armor of the Holy Temple. He immediately understood something and hurriedly cupped his fists and said, It's Lord Lin Muyu? This is embarrassing. Bring me to see Lord Luo Yu. Yes? Yes. The two of them hurried out of the door, leaving behind a group of dumbfounded spectators. Many of them still hadn't recovered from the shock. After a while, a mercenary with a sword finally said with a trembling voice, "That kid seems to be a Heaven Realm expert. I saw battle energy." Heaven Realm. Heavens, Heaven Realm. The group of people looked as if they had seen a ghost. After leaving Lanyan City, they found a dilapidated house in the forest outside the city. The burly man said respectfully, "Commander, this house has been abandoned for a long time and people rarely come here, so Lord Luo Yu set up this place as a temporary camp for the Longdan army camp." "How many people have we recruited?" Lin Muyu asked while riding on her warhorse. The burly man walked, carrying his battle axe, and grinned. "There should be around 60 people now, right? These days. Although there are many warriors in Lanyan City, many of them are boorish people who have not even stepped into the human realm. It's a little difficult to find experts above the human realm. In less than half a month, Lord Luo Yu has already found more than 50 people. It's really not easy." Lin Muyu nodded. In fact, to put it in another way, the reason why they could recruit so many people was because of money. She did not give the 100,000 Jingren coins for nothing. Outside the dilapidated house, a flag fluttered in the wind. It was a very simple flag and the words Longdan Army Camp were written on it. There was no one patrolling outside at all. When Lin Muyu stepped into the house, she saw a large group of people scattered in the yard. Some were smoking, some were drinking, and some were playing dice and gambling by the millstone. Looking at this group of people, the younger ones were 17 or 18 years old and the older ones were in their 40s. Some were shirtless, some were only wearing underpants, and there were two people who had taken off their shirts and were comparing whose chest muscles trembled more frequently. Their faces were flushed and they looked like they were unwilling to admit defeat. Lin Muyu was a little flustered when she saw this. She came from the modern era and had seen breast-shaking dance, but it was definitely not a dance performed by men. At this moment, looking at this yard full of JP, she was incomparably ecstatic. "Someone's here." A mercenary jumped up from a tree and said, "Look, a high-ranking officer of the Empire has arrived. He's definitely here to raid us. Brothers, get ready to attack." In an instant, a group of ferocious mercenaries surrounded Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu was still riding on her warhorse. She looked at the group with a smile and said, "What do you want? Do you want to rob me or kill me?" A skinny man holding a spear shook his weapon, and the tip of the spear was enshrouded with true energy. He smiled and said, "We won't rob you or kill you. We just want to ask how many Jingren coins you have on you. We brothers are short on money to buy some wine these days." "Isn't this a robbery?" "Bah, I said it's not a robbery, so it's not a robbery." Idiot. These people's intelligence was worrying. Lin Muyu couldn't help but be worried. She raised her eyebrows and said, "Luo Yu, come out and see me." Creak. The door to the room in front of them opened. Luo Yu walked out with a face full of fatigue and said with a smile, "Captain is back. Ah, this is great. Why are you pointing your weapons at him?" "He's Captain Lin Muyu." The group of mercenaries was dumbfounded. One of them said in a low voice, "This brat looks like a pretty boy. He's definitely a trash kept by those fat ladies in Yanlan City. What right does this kind of person have to be our boss?" "Oh, are you guys choosing a boss?" Lin Muyu laughed and got off her horse. She didn't even take out her weapon. She looked at the group of people around her and said, "You idiots dare to be so arrogant? Come, come, come. Come at me together. Don't say that I'm bullying you." Luo Yu was stunned. "My lady Yu, it's okay. I know what I'm doing." Lin Muyu smiled and said. In fact, she knew very well that although these mercenaries looked ugly, they were at least in the human realm. Some of them had even stepped into the earth realm. These people were the strongest in the village and they were all very arrogant. If she didn't show them her skills, she might not be able to be the captain of the Longdan army camp. Buzz. The gourd rose up and Lin Muyu raised her fist. Instantly, a dense battle energy surrounded the area. Heavens, he's a heaven realm expert just like Lady Luo Yu. Yes, that's battle energy. So what if he's in the heaven realm? We have more people. If he wants to be our boss, Let's see if he has the ability to do so. As they spoke, the group of people surged forward. One of them, who was in the second heaven of the earth realm, roared and punched at Lin Muyu's chest like a dragon coming out of the sea. This punch was very powerful and could not be underestimated. However, Lin Muyu only dodged to the side and raised her hand to punch the man's abdomen. With a bang, the man took a few steps back and knelt on the ground holding his stomach, unable to get up. The chaotic attacks landed on the walls of the gourd, but they were all blocked by the mystic tortoise shell and the dragon scale wall. On the other hand, Lin Muyu raised both her fists and directly used the fiery soul fist that she learned from Zhang Wei. Her fists danced, sending the mercenaries flying back one by one. Just when the group of mercenaries was the most tightly encircled, Lin Muyu raised one of her arms. Waves of demonic energy surrounded her arm, and she suddenly punched the ground. 2 luminaries' demonic dance. Bang! The 7 luminaries' Xian energy, which was only 30% of its strength, surged and turned into a shockwave. The strong impact sent the group of people flying. In the blink of an eye, a large number of people fell, leaving only Lin Muyu standing proudly in the center. How is it? Do I deserve to be the commander of the Longdan army camp? He asked with a smile. The group of mercenaries cupped their fists and said, Commander is mighty. Commander is awesome. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and said, Let me ask all of you a question. Commander, please say it. You're the strongest, so you have the final say. Lin Muyu pondered and asked, Do you want to be a hero or a coward? Everyone was stunned. After a few seconds they said, Commander, we want to be heroes. Lin Muyu shook her head and smiled faintly. But now all of you look like cowards. Chapter 169. Leader we. The group of Longdan army camp mercenaries were stunned. They didn't know what Lin Muyu was planning. They couldn't figure out what their leader was thinking. Lin Muyu's battle energy rose up and strengthened the walls of the gourd. He raised his eyebrows and said, Only a coward would beg for mercy. The Longdan army camp is called the Longdan army camp because we have guts. If you are not cowards, then think of a way to defeat me. Otherwise, how can you be worthy of being the mercenaries of my Longdan army camp? Hey, come on. In an instant he angered these people. One by one the mercenaries took out their weapons and looked like they were going to risk their lives. Luo Yu stood at the side and was stunned. In the next moment the battle continued. A large group of mercenaries waved all kinds of weapons and slashed at Lin Muyu. They also used all kinds of secret skills, evil dog snatching *T. Umbrella dragon in the sky. Lion steals peach. Deadly chain lightning kick. All kinds of attacks landed on the walls of the gourd. What followed was Lin Muyu's counterattack. He punched them one by one and beat them until their faces were swollen. These mercenaries seemed to have become wild and rushed forward with their faces covered in blood. Under this situation, Lin Muyu's battle energy was running out. In the face of so many Heaven Realm and Earth Realm experts, he only relied on the second star to intimidate them. If so many people fought with their lives at the beginning, Lin Muyu's battle energy would be depleted even faster. Very quickly, holes began to appear on the walls of the gourd. Large machetes, Buddhist staffs, and other weapons began to smash the mystic tortoise shell's flame barrier into pieces. Furthermore, more than half of the people in this group possessed martial souls. Attacks with martial souls were even more deadly. Although Lin Muyu managed to send 7 or 8 people flying with more than 10 punches, he was already having a hard time dealing with the encirclement. It was fortunate that his martial soul, the gourd, was focused on defense. If it was Feng Jixing or Chu Huayin who had martial souls that focused on offense, they would not be able to withstand the attacks without killing or severely injuring their opponents. Pa pa pa. A streak of lightning spread out from Lin Muyu's palm. King. She pulled out the burning prairie sword from the horse's back. Using lightning to control the sword, the burning prairie sword swept in all directions, shaking away the weapons of the group. Lin Muyu let out a low shout and used wind to control the sword. Suddenly, a gale swept in all directions, blowing everyone back. All right. Lin Muyu stood where he was, and the burning prairie sword appeared above his shoulder, flashing with lightning. He smiled and said, You guys really didn't disappoint me. It's already not bad to be able to do this. At this time the mercenaries lying on the ground got up one by one. One of the strong men whose nose was bleeding wiped the blood from his nose and asked, Leader, are you that? Lin Muyu, who recently saved the emperor and the capital's #1 beauty, Her Highness Yin from Deer Song Garden? Yes. Ah, you've seen Her Highness Ing? What does she look like? Everyone's eyes widened. Damn it. Lin Muyu was a little speechless and said, you guys shouldn't be paying attention to Her Highness Ing, right? Besides, what does Her Highness Ying's appearance have to do with you guys? Train well and establish the Longdan Army Camp as the #1 mercenary group in Longyan City. This is our first step. Luo Yu's heart was already filled with a million, what the F** case horses were galloping. He didn't think that Lin Muyu's training method was so strange. The greeting gift was to beat up his subordinates first. He cupped his fists and smiled, giving Lin Muyu an imperial military salute and said, Leader is wise. Everyone followed suit and saluted. This kind of military salute made Lin Muyu feel very comfortable. This way the mercenaries in the Longdan army camp didn't look like a bunch of mobs anymore, although their appearance and expressions didn't look like good people. Luo Yu held the name list and said, Leader, we've already recruited 62 mercenaries. In addition, in less than 2 hours, there will be another group of people coming to join us. There are more than 30 people in total. They are a group of wandering mercenaries from Seven Seas City. Wandering mercenaries? Lin Muyu asked with a frown. Luo Yu couldn't help but smile and cupped his fists. Don't worry, Leader. Although the hands of these wandering mercenaries are stained with blood, it's the blood of unforgivable criminals. They haven't killed innocent people. Yes, that's good. Get ready. Once this group of people arrives, we'll immediately set off for the new camp. But our war horses haven't arrived yet. They'll only arrive around dusk. Then wait until dusk. Yes. Not long after noon, a large group of people arrived at the dilapidated house. They were indeed all mercenaries from Seven Seas City. They all had tired expressions on their faces. The leader was an old friend of Luo Yu's, which was why he came to join them. There were 39 people in total. Now the Longdan army camp finally had more than 100 people. A little later, a group of horse dealers drove the war horses over. There were more than 150 war horses in total. It was said that they were all high-quality war horses from the northern desert. They were fast and had good endurance. Each war horse was sold for 100 gold coins. In one go, the Longdan army camp had 15,000 gold coins. After that, they also had to make the special armor and clothing for the Longdan army camp. This was also an expense. Including weapons, rations, etc., building an army was simply a battle of money. Fortunately, Lin Muyu was not short of money. His crafting skills were almost enough to make him one of the richest people in the world. Arriving at the headquarters of the Hall of Chivalry in the middle of the night, a group of mercenaries from the Longdan army camp looked at everything with bright eyes. The Imperial Guard who was guarding the door recognized Lin Muyu. He smiled politely and said, General Lin Muyu, our commander asked us to wait here for the handover. Is this your Longdan army camp? It looks pretty good. His smile was a little weird. Immediately, a warrior from the Longdan army camp rushed out with a long spear in hand. He pointed the spear and said, What do you mean by being weird? If you have the guts, come out and fight 300 rounds with me. Lin Muyu immediately raised his voice and said, Shut up and return to the team. Yes, Regiment Commander. He returned with his tail between his legs. This was the result of Lin Muyu beating them up as soon as she arrived. This bunch of motley crew had to first erase their arrogance, or else they would never be able to become true soldiers. Lin Muyu cupped her hands and said with a smile, Yes, it's them. Thank you, General. I will personally thank General Feng later. Then we will go up the mountain. Thank you very much. From now on, this mountain will be guarded by our Longdan army camp. Then we will go back. Thank you. Nearly 500 Imperial cavalrymen went down the mountain in a mighty manner. The group of hooligans in the Longdan army camp was stunned. Lin Muyu saw this and laughed in her heart. After a while she said, Don't envy them. One day you will be like them. Perhaps your combat power will be stronger than theirs. Yes, Regiment Commander. The group of mercenaries in the Longdan army camp cupped their fists. At this moment they looked at Lin Muyu with not only respect but also admiration. This was the mentality of ordinary people, who would be willing to be a hooligan in the eyes of others. If it was possible, everyone would choose to wear the bright armor of the empire and serve the country. They would be loved by the people and become a soldier who protected the country and its honor. Luo Yu had been watching Lin Muyu's every word and action and seemed to be influenced by her. The group of people went up the mountain. The houses had already been prepared. At least it was enough for the group of people in front of them to live in. The flag of the Longdan army camp was instantly placed on the main altar, fluttering in the night wind. This mountain doesn't have a name yet, Lin Muyu said. Luo Yu smiled slightly. This mountain is rugged, with a lone peak that pierces the clouds like the head of a real dragon. Why don't we call it Dragon Rocky Mountain? What do you think, sir? Dragon Rocky Mountain. Dragon Rocky Mountain. Lin Muyu repeated twice. She remembered that Long Yen was originally Jin Zun from the Hall of Chivalry. His entire life was probably to pursue fame and fortune, but he was killed by Jiang Fenglai in the end. However, the name Dragon Rocky Mountain was not bad. She would treat it as a memorial to this unknown traveler. She smiled and said, "Yes, send someone to invite the craftsman over tomorrow and carve the words Dragon Rocky Mountain on the rock wall. This mountain will be the encampment of our Longdan army camp in the future." Sir. Oh yes. Continue to send people around Longyan City to search for cultivators with good character to join the Longdan army camp. After they enter the Longdan army camp, give them a monthly salary so that they have something to rely on. In addition, maintain a high intensity of training every day so that everyone knows how to ride horses, shoot arrows, use swords, and so on. Yes, the training will be settled. Sir, you don't have to worry. Oh yes, sir. Do we need to accept those employment missions from the mercenary guild? No, you don't have to. Lin Muyu's eyes shone as she said, "You can send people to the nearby villages to accept the missions entrusted by the villagers. If they have needs, we will try our best to satisfy them, especially those wandering mercenaries who are disturbing the surrounding villagers. Think of a way to eliminate them one by one. In this area of Dragon Rocky Mountain, only our Longdan army camp can exist. The rest of the motley crew will be wiped out." Luo Yu couldn't help but laugh. "Sir, do we really have that kind of strength? As far as I know, there are still a few wandering mercenary groups near Dragon Rocky Mountain. It is said that the largest group has at least 2,000 people gathered. They are all bandits and bandits. These people are not to be trifled with. Sir, are we really going to make them our enemy?" "Of course we can." The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth curled up. She said each word firmly. "Every time we eliminate a wandering mercenary group, we will choose those with a conscience and decent strength among the captives to join us. After training, we will continue to expand our scale. Also, Luo Yu, you have to pay special attention to one thing." "What is it, sir?" "Military law must be strict. Orders must be followed. If anyone in the Longdan army camp disturbs the people and the situation is serious, they will be killed without mercy." "Yes, don't worry, sir. I will remember." "Okay, that's good. I will make a trip back to the imperial capital. I will leave this place to you temporarily. Let me know when the funds are used up." "Sir." Chapter 170. In the afternoon, the winter sun shone lazily on Longyan City. Under the mottled shadows of the trees, Lin Muyu slowly rode his horse into the city. He could even enter the imperial capital without being checked just by relying on his divine temple armor and the insignia on his neck. He let the warhorse gallop freely on Tongtian Street. He took out the netherworld stone ring from his chest pocket and put it on his thumb. However, he found that the feeling of the sword was affected when he held it. It seemed that this thing was just an ornament. It was not practical to use it as a weapon or defensive tool. After playing with it for a while, he took off the netherworld stone ring and stuffed it back into his chest pocket. At this time, the street in front of him was very lively. Many commoners had gathered around. Lin Muyu hurriedly urged his horse to go over to take a look. However, he found that there was a convoy in front of him. The rolling carts were connected together like a train, and the carts were transporting the body of a huge creature. It was the carcass of the dragon serpent that was killed in Deer Song Garden. The Imperial Army actually transported the carcass of the dragon serpent back? Looking at the carcass of the dragon serpent, Lin Muyu looked at his burning prairie sword. Even the sharpness of the burning prairie sword could not cut through the scales of the dragon serpent. One could imagine the hardness of the scales. Moreover, each scale of the dragon serpent was about a meter in diameter and was in the shape of a diamond. It was used to make a shield, it should be invulnerable, right? Thinking of this, Lin Muyu could not help but have an idea. He immediately urged his horse forward and found the leader of the convoy. It was an acquaintance, thousand-man commander Luo Lai, one of Feng Jixing's right-hand men. General Luo Lai. Luo Lai turned around and saw Lin Muyu. He could not help but smile. It's Lord Lin Muyu. Why are you on Tongtian Street? Shouldn't you be at the Eagle's Nest camp? I'm not going to the Eagle's Nest camp today. Lin Muyu rode beside him and asked, where are we going to send such a huge dragon snake's corpse? It was Commander Feng Jixing who asked us to transport the carcass of the dragon snake to the Zetian Palace. He said that the meat of the dragon snake contains a huge amount of fire energy. After drying it, it can be cooked into meat soup to keep out the cold in winter. The dragon snake's bones can be ground into powder and used as medicine to strengthen the body. Moreover, this is a 12,300-year-old dragon snake. If it wasn't for the fact that it didn't pass the tribulation, it would have already transformed into a dragon. I see. Lin Muyu rubbed her hands and smiled. Can I discuss something with you? What is it? Luo Lai looked at him amused. Can you give me all the scales of this dragon snake after you cut them off? Is that so? Luo Lai smiled. Sir, are you going to use the scales of the dragon snake to make a shield or a chain armor? I see. Alright, since the commander didn't say that he wanted the scales. Besides, this dragon snake was killed by Lord Lin Muyu. There's nothing wrong with giving the scales to you. You can come with me to the palace. When we deal with the carcass, we will send the scales to you. Alright, thank you, General Luo Lai. Sir, there's no need to be so polite. We're all on the same side. After entering the Zetian Palace, they dealt with the carcass of the dragon snake in the side hall. The imperial chefs cut the meat and separated the bones. The blood-stained scales were loaded onto the horse carriage. Lin Muyu counted carefully. There were more than 500 scales in total. Her heart was filled with joy. These scales filled 5 full carriages. Feng Jixing assigned 20 more imperial guards to Lin Muyu. In the afternoon, they transported the scales to the largest ironware shop in the imperial capital, 100 King's Ironware Shop. It was said that this ironware shop had tens of thousands of years of history. It had been through hundreds of emperors, hence its name. However, not long after Lin Muyu entered the ironware shop, a familiar figure appeared, Jin Xiaotang. Brother you haven't appeared in a long time. Jin Xiaotang walked up to him intimately. Suddenly she pouted and said, you asked me to introduce you to the Hall of Chivalry. I didn't expect you to go on a mission to spy on the military. This time Xiaotang has offended the Hall of Chivalry because of you. It's up to you. Lin Muyu was full of regret. I'm sorry. Thought I was in the wrong. I'll apologize to you. Oh yes, why are you here? Jin Xiaotang patted the sign of the ironware shop and said, because this 100 King's Ironware Shop is also an asset of the Imperial Capital Chamber of Commerce. Of course I have to come here. As she spoke, she looked at the pile of dragon snake scales on the carriage. She smiled and said, Brother are you using the scales of the dragon snake as the main body to forge a shield? Wow, these scales are so thick. How old is this dragon snake? More than 10,000 years. That's a lot. Jin Xiaotang stuck out her tongue and smiled. If that's the case, I'll make the decision myself and give you a cheap price. I'll only charge 10 gold kin coins for each shield. I'll use 100-year dark steel to forge the edges of the dragon snake scales. The perforation and polishing fees will all be within 10 gold kin coins. How does that sound? Okay, thank you, Xiaotang. But there's a condition. Oh, what condition? Hehe. Jin Xiaotang pulled Lin Muyu's hand and said, Father recently received a shipment from the west. There are a lot of rainbow lotuses. Brother do me a favor and make 100 bottles of Dream of the Peak for the Imperial Capital Chamber of Commerce. How about that? Our last auction of Dream of the Peak was aborted. Many customers are waiting to buy it. Okay. Then let's go to the Imperial Capital Chamber of Commerce. I want to buy some materials to recast my weapon. Once again he went to the Imperial Capital Chamber of Commerce. Accompanied by Jin Xiaotang, he looked through the rare materials in the Spirit Stone shop. In the end he only chose a 9,700-year-old black tortoise spirit stone. This would be used to refine the nether cyan stone. As for the other spirit stones, he didn't think much of them. Forget it, he wouldn't forge a weapon this time. Xiaotang, do you have any iron ores that are suitable for tempering? He asked. Jin Xiaotang blinked and said, I do have some, but I don't know if brother you will like it. Oh, what kind of iron? Let me see. Okay. Jin Xiaotang walked up and said to the shopkeeper, Boss Qian, can you show me the iron ore that can't be smelted in your shop last time? Yes, eldest Mississippi. At the shopkeeper's order, a burly blacksmith immediately carried a pile of black iron ore and walked up. He wiped it and his hands were immediately covered with black ash. Jin Xiaotang smiled and said, This is the smelly stone. It has been smelted in the 100 Kings ironware shop for 10 days and 10 nights, but it still hasn't melted. It is said to be a stubborn stone, but who knows what it is. If brother you wants it, you can take it for 1 Jinin coin. If you don't want it, we still have some 10,000-year black iron and 1,000-year black iron for you to choose from. Lin Muyu reached out and touched the black stone. Immediately, a thick spiritual power flowed into her palm. This was definitely not a stubborn stone that couldn't be smelted. At this moment, Lulu's excited voice came from Yi. Brother, this stone is the legendary 9 Heavens Spirit Iron. It is a divine iron that fell from the sky into the mortal world. If it can be smelted, it will definitely be a divine weapon. Really? Lin Muyu also smiled and said with her spiritual perception, That's great. He immediately took out a Jin coin and placed it on the table. Then he smiled and said, Wrap it up. I want this stubborn stone. I want to see how stubborn it really is. Jin Xiaotang giggled. Hey. Boss Qian, wrap up the stubborn stone. Yes. Then Jin Xiaotang directly provided a large pile of rainbow lotus and skeleton tree herbs to Lin Muyu for free. She only asked him to refine Dream of the Peak to increase the Imperial Chamber of Commerce's dominance. Jin Xiaotang was a girl who was very good at doing business. This made Lin Muyu secretly happy. Who wouldn't like doing business without any cost? After agreeing to go to the ironware shop to collect the dragon snake shield in 3 days, Lin Muyu directly returned to the Eagle Nest camp. On the Eagle Nest Mountain, brand new barracks had already been built. As the commander, Lin Muyu's living quarters were arranged in a hall in the center. It was relatively spacious and very quiet. It was very satisfying. After dinner he started working. He spent close to 3 hours refining 132 bottles of Dream of the Peak. Other than 100 bottles for Jin Xiaotang, he kept the rest for the people in the Longdan army camp who had a higher cultivation level. Improving his own family's strength was the most important. Then he started the process of refining the netherworld stone ring. Buzz buzz. The crafting cauldron glowed with a frightening luster in the room. Lin Muyu stood outside the cauldron and threw the netherworld stone ring into it. Immediately, raging flames lingered around the ring like ribbons. Silently feeling the structure of the netherworld stone ring, Lin Muyu's spiritual perception slowly permeated it. She discovered that the structure of the netherworld stone was indeed very strange. It was somewhat similar to the molecular structure of a diamond. It was extremely hard, and unlike a diamond, the netherworld stone's melting point was also ridiculously high. However, Lin Muyu didn't plan to refine it. She directly used the 5th layer of the crafting cauldron's hellfire to slowly comb through the structure of the netherworld stone ring. She opened up the joints in the stone material and then started refining the 9,700-year-old mystic tortoise spirit stone. After almost an hour, the spirit stone was successfully refined. Amidst the roar sounds, the azure blue dragon turtle soul roared in the air and slowly seeped into the netherworld stone. After a while, the netherworld stone glowed and landed in Lin Muyu's palm. She put the ring on her thumb and activated her Do Qi. In an instant, the spirit of the mystic tortoise was already lingering around the ring, ready to come out at any time to protect its owner. The mystic tortoise was originally good at defense, and this ring that had been refined was equivalent to a defensive tool. He put the ring away. Although this netherworld stone ring was very strong, its appearance was shockingly ugly. Lin Muyu had already decided to give it to Rui Hong. As the great deacon of the divine temple, the old man should have some treasured tools that were worthy of his identity to protect himself. Continue. The highlight was coming. Refining that stubborn stone, 9 Heavens Spirit Iron. Chapter 171. The flames in the cauldron soared to the sky. Lin Muyu had pushed his Do Qi to the limit, converting it into the energy of the flames in the cauldron. He continuously burned and tempered the rock that was floating in the cauldron, weighing about 100 pounds. The hellfire surged violently, emitting a whistling sound as it roasted the entire hall. Lin Muyu furrowed his brows, beads of sweat seeping out from his forehead, flowing down his cheeks and dripping to the ground. This won't do. About 2 hours later he sighed softly as his fighting chi slowly decreased. The flames in the cauldron also slowly died out. Lin Muyu panted heavily. This rock's characteristics are too miraculous. Every time I'm about to refine it, it produces a stubborn energy that refuses to be refined. I still can't reach the melting point of this 9 heavens spirit iron. Lulu flew out of the EC and flapped her wings in the night. Brother, perhaps the 5th level of the cauldron is too difficult to refine this 9 heavens spirit iron. Why don't we give up? No, I want to try again. Don't force yourself. Lin Muyu's personality was one that refused to believe in superstitions, so he once again raised his true chi and tried to refine the 9 heavens spirit iron. However, after an entire night he still couldn't refine it. In fact, it was getting harder and harder to refine the rock. It was probably because his fighting chi was exhausted. By the time morning came, he was on the verge of death from exhaustion. There was no other way. He washed up and went to sleep. When he woke up the next afternoon, he didn't even try and directly entered Lanyan City alone to go to the Holy Temple and give the nethergreen stone ring to Lei Hong. First, he took a detour to the Imperial Merchant Guild and gave the 100 bottles of Dream of the Extreme to Jin Xiaotang. The average transaction price was more than 5,000 gold coins per bottle. If everything went as expected, these 100 bottles would return about 400,000 gold coins. This money had to be used wisely. Lin Muyu was born in a business family and knew that the market would eventually be saturated. After these 100 bottles were sold, it would be difficult to sell them again. After all, there were only so many people who had 5,000 gold coins to buy a bottle. After these people spent their money, others might not be able to afford it anymore. At that time, there would be an awkward market situation where there was no supply. He turned around and headed straight for the Sanctum Sanctorum. In the winter, the war horses neighed as they arrived at the front of the Sanctum Sanctorum. There were about a dozen Sanctum guards returning to their homes. They were patrolling the perimeter of the Sanctum Sanctorum. When they saw Lin Muyu, they immediately surrounded her. Their faces were filled with excitement as they smiled and said, "Master Lin Muyu is back." Is everything all right in the Holy Cathedral?" Lin Muyu asked with a smile. "It's very good. Is Master Lin Muyu here to look for the chief deacon?" "That's right, he's in the main hall, right?" Yes. "Good." After entering the Holy Temple and looking from afar, the training hall was filled with low roars and sounds of fighting. The instructors and sparring partners were currently training. Lin Muyu also suddenly remembered his promise to Reiham, to return to the Holy Temple to be a sparring partner every half a month. Time passed so quickly. If not for the heavy snow in the dragon-seeking forest delaying his journey, he would have returned long ago. "Big Brother Linji." Suddenly, a person rushed out of the training hall, holding a sharp sword in his hand. It was Qin Yan. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile. "This little Prince Qin Yan. Why haven't you changed the way you address me? I'm called Lin Muyu here." "Aha, I forgot." Qin Yan scratched his head and said with an awkward smile, "Big brother, are you returning to the Holy Temple to be a sparring partner again?" Qin Yan hasn't sparred with Big Brother for a long time. "If there's a chance, you must give me some pointers." "And all right. I'll go meet Chief Deacon Reiham first to discuss some matters. Little Prince Qin Yan, wait for me here for a while. I'll come over to look for you in a while." "All right. Big brother, go and come back quickly." On the waterside pavilion corridor of the main hall, Guyang still had a doddering appearance, hugging a scroll in his hands. He squinted his eyes and said with a smile from afar, "You is back. Grandpa Guyang, bring me to see the chief deacon?" "Let's go. The chief deacon is currently cultivating in the main hall." "And all right." Pushing open the main hall's doors, 2 holy temple guards stood guard inside. Reiham sat on the chief deacon's throne in the center, his complexion full of vigor. Battle chi enshrouded his body, currently cultivating the spirit-returning art that he relied on to make his name. After sensing 2 powerful forces entering the main hall, he slowly opened his eyes and said with a smile, You're finally willing to return to the Holy Temple? Lin Muyu cupped her fists and said with a smile, Lin Muyu pays respect to Grandpa Deacon. Has stinking brat. Rayam's face was filled with benevolence as he said with a smile. I heard that you performed a great service in Deer Cry Park again and were promoted to Dragon General. It's said that you were even adopted by His Majesty. Lin Muyu was taken aback and said, adopted son is just a verbal title. It doesn't have any actual meaning. Grandpa Rayham, don't use this matter to tease me. If that's the case. Rayham narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, a title is good. After all, your name has already been recorded in the Qin clan's genealogy. Although you won't be able to reproduce, it's still a kind of honor. This kind of honor is something that others can't obtain even if they pursue it their entire lives. You must cherish it. The Qin clan has ruled the continent for thousands of years and has always been generous and benevolent. Joining the Qin clan is a blessing. And I know, Lin Muyu smiled, the main reason I returned to the Holy Temple this time is to give Grand Deacon a gift. Oh, a gift? Rayam's eyes lit up as he said with a smile, what gift does you want to give Grandpa? Lin Muyu took out the netherworld stone ring from his cosmos sack and held it in his hand. The black tortoise's refined soul glowed within the ring and a faint roar could be heard. He offered it up and said with a smile, it's this. Grand Deacon, take a look and see if you like it. Rayham took the ring. Just by touching it he could feel the surging refined soul power. His eyes instantly widened and he said in astonishment, is this a saint weapon? Lin Muyu shook his head. Because I don't understand the grades of accessories other than weapons, I don't know if it's a saint weapon or not. In short, as long as Grand Deacon likes it, it's fine. I like it, of course I like it. Rayham almost couldn't bear to part with it. He said, what's the origin of this ring? How did you do it? Grandpa has always wanted to ask you, what's up with your blacksmithing skills? Lin Muyu shook his head and smiled, Grandpa, don't ask about this. There are some things that you won't understand even if I explain it to you. Rayham narrowed his eyes and smiled. For example? Lin Muyu's lips curled up. For example, if I said that I came from another world, would Grandpa believe me? Rayham was stunned at first, then he laughed out loud. You don't joke with this old man. Another world? How can there be another world in this world? Other than this place there are only heaven and purgatory. The laws of the three worlds have been like this since ancient times. Which world could you have come from? Lin Muyu giggled. That's why I can't explain it. Grandpa, just treat it as a joke. This ring is called the Nethergreen Stone Ring. The Nethergreen Stone is exceptionally hard and can be said to be indestructible. Later, I refined a 9,700-year mystic tortoise spirit stone into a beast soul and fused it into this ring. So, this ring now has the ability to protect its owner. Grand Deacon, please take good care of it. Rayhong put the thumb ring on his thumb lovingly and said with a smile, and I will. Thank you. I stay here today and have dinner in the Holy Temple tonight? No, there are still many things that I need to manage in the Eagle Nest camp. Oh right, when are you going to return to the Holy Temple as a sparring partner again? It'll be 15 days. Aha, I'll come back when the time is right. Humph, stinky brat, now that you're in such a high position, you probably don't want to come back anymore, right? Rayham smiled and said, how's your advancement? Come, go to the testing crystal and see what level you've reached. Yes. Lin Muyu walked over to the crystal plate with ease and suddenly shouted in a low voice, raising her battle chi to the limit. Immediately, the indigo-green gourd martial soul circled around her, radiating resplendent light. The crystal to the side reflected rays of light, 6 long lines and 8 short lines. It was very beautiful to look at. Guyang smiled and said, looks like you has reached the first level of the heavenly realm, level 68. He's close to the peak of the first level of the heavenly realm. He only needs an opportunity to step into the second level of the heavenly realm and have the ability to condense battle armor. Lin Muyu was also taken aback and nodded happily. He didn't expect his strength to increase so quickly after all the battles and cultivation in the dragon-seeking forest, the Hall of Chivalry and Deer Cry Park. It seemed that he really needed to find a chance to plan for a breakthrough. However, what bothered him even more was how to obtain the next level of the treasure refining cauldron. If he didn't refine that piece of 9 heavens spirit iron, it would always be like a knot in his heart that couldn't be untied. After bidding farewell to Rayham and Guyang, he carried the prairie burning sword to the trial hall. An administrator was presiding over the morning trial. When he saw Lin Muyu, he immediately cupped his fists respectfully and said, "Master Lin Muyu." Hello, Administrator Sun Kuang. The Holy Hall armor Lin Muyu was wearing was similar to those of the Gold Star and Silver Star sparring masters. The only difference was that Lin Muyu had a military insignia embedded in his collar. The golden purple flower on it had a beautiful luster and was extremely dazzling. This military insignia also signified one's status and identity in the army. This was something that the instructors and sparring masters couldn't compare to, which was why the administrator was so polite. Not long after, Qin Yan walked out of the trial room, covered in hot sweat. He said with a smile, "Big brother is back. Everyone come over here. I want to spar with Big brother." Immediately, the instructors and sparring masters all walked out of the trial room. After all, Lin Muyu was known as the #1 sparring master of the Holy Hall, while Qin Yan was the #1 instructor in the Holy Hall in name and in reality. Their spar was naturally very eye-catching. Many people didn't come to watch for victory or defeat, but to see how a true expert would use martial arts to obtain victory in battle. In the eyes of true cultivators, watching was in itself a kind of stealing a master's skills. Chapter 172. Crack. The prairie-burning sword transformed into a streak of fiery light and swept across Qin Yan's dragon-scale armor martial soul shield, but it only left behind a shallow mark on it. And Qin Yan's strenuous counterattack also caused a groove to appear on the wall of Lin Muyu's gourd. However, this mark was swiftly repaired by battle chi. This was the result of the recovery ability. Qin Yan's fire snake spear battle method was wide open and wide, seemingly reckless, but concealed a profound theory. Each attack would always hold back, allowing Lin Muyu to dodge the first attack but absolutely not the second. Even the number of times he attacked Lin Muyu was quite a few times more than the number of times Lin Muyu attacked him. But Lin Muyu borrowed the gourd martial soul's many techniques. Under the unceasing consumption of the recovery ability, Qin Yan's dragon scale armor was already riddled with holes. "All right." Qin Yan abruptly blasted back Lin Muyu with a spear. Panting heavily, he laughed loudly and waved his hand saying, "My battle chi is already exhausted. Big brother Lin Muyu is indeed very impressive. No wonder Big brother said that your strength is absolutely not beneath his." "Did Big brother Qin Lei say so?" "Yes. He and Commander Feng Jixing's evaluation of you is very high, feeling that you are the person with the highest talent and comprehension ability among the younger generation in the imperial capital. Perhaps you will also be the strongest person in Lanyan City in the future." "Like that, huh?" Lin Muyu rubbed her nose and said somewhat awkwardly, "I'm not that impressive. Otherwise, I also wouldn't have nearly been killed time and time again." Qin Yan chuckled. "But didn't you avert danger every time? This is proof of strength. All right, little Prince Qin Yan, I'm returning to the Eagle Nest camp. I'll send Big brother off." "All right." Qin Yan escorted Lin Muyu all the way out of the Divine Palace, shocking the few Divine Palace guards outside. The second son of Prince Jining actually escorted Lin Muyu out. This kind of treatment was not available to others, and they could not help but respect this #1 sparring partner of the Divine Palace a little more. In fact, the people in the Divine Palace were truly in awe. In the competition just now, Lin Muyu had clearly won. In many people's hearts, the strength of the #1 sparring partner was still above that of the #1 instructor. Lin Muyu's strength was so strong that it was as terrifying as a freak. After returning to the Eagle Nest camp, he continued to try to refine the 9 Heavens Spirit Iron, but he was unable to do so. Late at night, Lin Muyu had already tried countless times and her face was a little pale. Lulu fluttered on his shoulder and said, "Big brother, why don't we give up? This isn't a solution either." Lin Muyu was extremely weak. She nodded and sat down on the floor tiles dejectedly. At this moment, Wei Chao's voice came from outside. "Lord Commander, Princess Tang Xiaoxi requests an audience." "Oh, Xiaoxi is here?" Lin Muyu's heart warmed and she hurriedly got up and walked out of the residence. The night was not very good. There was no moon or stars and it was pitch black. Outside, under the illumination of the torches, Tang Xiaoxi dismounted and walked over with a smile. When she got closer, she saw Lin Muyu's expression and couldn't help but be stunned. "Mu, what's wrong with you? Have you not recovered from your injuries from the battle at Deer Cry Park? No. Lin Mu shook her head. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and took out a silk handkerchief to wipe the sweat off his forehead. I have been cultivating in seclusion in the Duke's residence these days, and didn't expect so many things to happen outside. I'm really sorry. Lin Mu couldn't help but laugh. Xiaoxi, why are you apologizing? You haven't let anyone down. Oh, it's just that I should have come to see you earlier. How this? Lin Muyu suddenly felt speechless. Aren't you going to invite me in? Tang Xiaoxi asked with a smile. All right. Lin Muyu stepped aside and Tang Xiaoxi ordered the guards behind her to stay outside, while she followed Lin Muyu into his residence. Wei Chou followed closely behind and with an ambiguous smile on his face he asked, My lord, do you need me to prepare something for you? His smile was really asking for a beating and Lin Muyu glared at him. Prepare what? What's with that smile on your face? Don't tell me you want to prepare a box of Durex for me? Wei Chou was stunned. What is Durex? Tang Xiaoxi was also stunned and asked with a smile. Mu, what is that? Lin Muyu scratched her head and secretly hated herself for blurting it out. She said awkwardly, It's a type of tea from my hometown. It's very smooth. It has various fruity flavors. Tang Xiaoxi squinted her beautiful eyes and said with a smile, looking at your lying face, I really want to beat you up, but is there really fruity tea? If there's time you must invite me to try it. Looking at Tang Xiaoxi's beautiful face, Lin Muyu couldn't help but think about some other things. She nodded and said, Cough cough. If there's a chance, if you're willing. Tang Xiaoxi giggled. Hee, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't I be willing? Wei Chou stood at the side in a daze. Then my lord, do you still want me to prepare some snacks, tea and fruits for you and Princess Xi tonight? Go. Yes, my lord. Although Lin Muyu's room was spacious, it didn't have many furnishings. There was a table, a few chairs and the rest was a bed. After Tang Xiaoxi entered the room she looked around, and sat on the bed. She said with a smile, Mu, this room of yours, other than the bed being a little soft, there's really nothing good about it. The bed, it's good to sleep comfortably. Lin Muyu forcefully suppressed the urge to invite Tang Xiaoxi to try the bed. After all, this was a different world where words and actions were more serious. It wasn't the world where she could casually joke around. It wouldn't be good if Tang Xiaoxi flipped out. Tang Xiaoxi giggled and said, Are you nervous? Oh. Then why aren't you coming over and sitting down? Oh, okay. I mean, come sit beside me. Ah, okay. Lin Muyu obediently sat on the side of the bed, her heart filled with even more complicated feelings. At this moment Wei Chou walked in with a plate of fruits and a pot of warm wine. He couldn't help but be stunned. Did I disturb you guys? No. Tang Xiaoxi opened her big watery eyes and smiled innocently. Lin Muyu gestured, Wei Chou, you can leave after you put down the things. Yes. Wei Chou turned around and left. A man and a woman stayed in a room together and the atmosphere was slightly awkward. The faint fragrance from Tang Xiaoxi really tested a person's patience. Lin Muyu was a hot-blooded man after all, so how could he resist this kind of temptation? He hurriedly used the spirit pulse technique to clear the distracting thoughts in his mind. But at this time even Tang Xiaoxi was quite nervous. Her beautiful face was red as she said, Should I not have come tonight? No. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Xiaoxi, how's your advancement recently? I'm almost at the peak of the third heaven of the earth realm. Recently, Chu has been teaching me how to cultivate, so my advancement speed is very fast, but I can't break through to the heaven realm. I'm still keeping the 5,000-year-old fire spirit stone that you brought with you. I'll use it on the day I break through. I see. Lin Muyu stood up and poured a glass of wine for Tang Xiaoxi. She said, Drink some wine to warm your body. Xiaoxi's cultivation speed is still very fast, much faster than I thought. Tang Xiaoxi also stood up and said with an unconvinced smile, What's wrong? Do you think I'm a pampered princess who doesn't want to improve? Of course not. Xiaoxi is the best. Humph. Tang Xiaoxi drank a glass of wine, and her face seemed to turn even redder. She suddenly asked, Mu, you saved Xiao Yin in Deer Garden, did she? She stammered for a long time but did not say anything. Lin Muyu's heart also beat faster and she asked, Did Xiao Yin do something? Tang Xiaoxi's face turned red and even Lin Muyu could feel the heat. she stammered for a while and said, "Did she tell you that she likes you?" "No, no." Lin Muyu was extremely embarrassed. "All right then." Tang Xiaoxi seemed to be relieved of a heavy burden, and she pursed her lips into a smile. "Mu, after you became the commander of the Eagle Nest camp, are you especially busy with military affairs?" Lin Muyu spread her hands. "Do I look like I'm busy with military affairs?" "You don't. Then that's right, I've handed everything to Wei Chou Xiaohosang and the other squad leaders of the Imperial Guards. You can even be so casual as the commander of the Empire's regular army, you're really something. Is that so?" Lin Muyu glanced at her and said, "You speak as if you're very diligent. Do you want to see how much work it takes to train and deploy nearly 1,000 troops every day?" Tang Xiaoxi laughed. "I don't want to." Looking at her beautiful smiling face, Lin Muyu's heart was pounding. Just as she was about to lose control of herself, a sudden clap of thunder came from outside. "It's thunder, it's going to rain," Tang Xiaoxi said, blinking her eyes. Lin Muyu chuckled. "Don't worry, there are plenty of rooms in the Eagle Nest camp. If it really rains, you can stay the night in the Eagle Nest camp." A naughty smile appeared on Tang Xiaoxi's face. "Does that mean something is going to happen?" "What could happen?" Lin Muyu said righteously. Tang Xiaoxi pouted. "Oh, you're so disappointing. I can't talk to you anymore." Lin Muyu was indignant. She was actually being teased by Tang Xiaoxi. It seemed that the girls in this world were quite loving, much more lively than she had imagined. Whoosh. Opening up an oil paper umbrella, Lin Muyu said, "Xiaoxi, come out with me to see the thunderstorm?" Yes. This was a winter thunderstorm. The heavy rain poured down on the Eagle Nest Mountain, causing the flames in the braziers to flicker. In the distance, Wei Chao's loud voice could be heard. "Hey, you lazy bums, pay attention to the oil in the braziers. Don't let the fire go out or I'll spank your butts." Tang Xiaoxi smiled, tightened her cloak and snuggled up to Lin Muyu. Chapter 173. The oil paper umbrella was not big to begin with, so Tang Xiaoxi could only lean against it tightly. Lin Muyu tried his best to cover Tang Xiaoxi's head with the umbrella. In the blink of an eye, half of his armor was soaked. Eagle Nest Mountain was just like its name. It was a towering mountain with a lone peak rising into the sky. It was very similar to the Dragon Rocky Mountain where the Longdan Army Camp was based. The only difference was that the Dragon Rocky Mountain was more spacious and could accommodate more troops. At this moment, thunder rumbled in the distance, accompanied by rain. Lin Muyu naturally reached out and hugged Tang Xiaoxi's shoulder. The two of them walked to the cliff of Eagle Nest Mountain. Looking into the distance, the capital city of Lanyan City was flashing in the lightning and swaying gently with the wind and rain. Tang Xiaoxi turned around and felt Lin Muyu's arm around her. She blushed and smiled. "Mu, do you think this place is romantic?" "Romantic?" Lin Muyu could not help but laugh. A bolt of lightning is enough to turn a person into ashes in an instant. The power of the heavens cannot be violated. Eagle Nest Mountain is the highest place around Lanyan City, so it is most likely to attract lightning. "This is really not romantic," Tang Xiaoxi giggled and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. "You are really unromantic." What?" "Nothing. Do you want to patrol the camp?" "There is no need. Wei Chou Xiaohosang and the rest are here. Furthermore, we have sentries all around, so it will not be easy for anyone to climb up the mountain. Don't worry, the Eagle Nest camp is very safe now. Our people are everywhere, and I have already forced away all the people that the Divine Marquis residents planted in the Eagle Nest camp." Lin Muyu smiled confidently. "Why would I allow anyone to be under my watch? I will not tolerate dissidents like His Majesty." Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. She wanted to say something but hesitated. Actually what?" Lin Muyu asked. Tang Xiaoxi didn't say anything, but she reached out and wrapped her arms around Lin Muyu's waist, burying her body in his embrace. Perhaps it was because of the cold weather or something else, but her body was trembling slightly. She said, "Actually, His Majesty also has his own troubles. Do you know? The King of Light, Qin Jin, was called the King of Light because he had quelled 2 rebellions in the northern desert and southern border. In the northern desert he had killed more than 300,000 enemy soldiers, and in the southern border he had killed 170,000 enemy soldiers. That was why he was called the King of Light. But the real commander of both wars was Jin Yifan. the man known as the Divine Marquis. As she spoke, she pursed her red lips, her beautiful eyes gazing at the lightning in the distance. Her eyes shone as she said, Zheng Yifan has been conferred the title of Marshal twice, and he controls more than 80% of the Empire's military power. Decades have passed, and the Emperor has continuously weakened Zheng Yifan's military power, which has finally resulted in the current situation. 3 of the Empire's 7 major cities, Lanyan City, Qihai City and Muyu City, have military power in the hands of the Emperor, but the remaining 4 cities are actually mostly controlled by Zheng Yifan's people. Among the Empire's 12 provinces, only 5 provinces are directly under the imperial capital's control. The rest are governed by their own laws. Emperor Qingjin doesn't rely on Zheng Yifan, but he doesn't dare to touch him. Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, Xiaoxi knows a lot more than I do. Tang Xiaoxi laughed softly. I grew up in 7 Seas City and was influenced by what I saw and heard. Of course I know more than you. But Mu, your current status is different from when you were in Cathaya City. You are now one of the 3 commanders-in-chief of the Imperial Army and a general with military power. There are some things you should know. Oh right, I'll give you a military distribution map of the Empire's 12 provinces later. You should have studied it a long time ago. Amen. Thank you, Xiaoxi. Lin Mu smiled. Unfortunately, Xiaoxi's status is too high. Otherwise, I would definitely keep you by my side as a staff officer. Tang Xiaoxi smiled. Status? I don't have a very high status. As long as you want Mu, I can stay in the Eagle Nest camp for you. The Duke of Seven Seas residence is so boring anyway. If we're talking about status, I'm afraid that Xiao Yin's status is too high. There's no way she can be your staff officer. Yes, Lin Mu thought of Qin Yin. Qin Yin had grown up in Zetian Palace. The pressure she endured in this area was probably much greater than Tang Xiaoxi's. When he thought of this, he immediately asked, Xiaoxi, the master of Seven Seas City is your grandfather, Duke Kanglin. Then, if Duke Kanglin passes away, and I'm saying if, who will be the next master? Will it be you? I won't. Tang Xiaoxi shook her head. After all, I'm a woman. So unless it's a last resort, I won't be given military power. Besides, I have a few brothers above me. With them around, it won't be my turn to wield military power. Besides, I have no interest in this area. Or, she widened her eyes and looked at Lin Muyu. She smiled. Or do you want me to wield Seven Seas City? If that's the case, I can give it a try. Grandfather loves me so much. Maybe he will make an exception and pass the title of Duke of Seven Seas City to me? Lin Muyu was stunned. Forget it. I don't want you to be so tired. Besides, I'm a person who's good at satisfying others. It's good to have you by my side. If you really go to Seven Seas City to be the master, I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to see you again. Yes, Mu is the smartest. At this moment, with a sudden crack, a purple thunderbolt fell on the top of the mountain in front of them. It directly struck a pine tree and set it on fire. Moreover, some light purple flames fell from the sky. These flames slowly seeped into the rocks. In the blink of an eye, the rocks actually rustled and weathered away. Lin Muyu's eyes widened. What kind of flame is that? It can actually burn rocks into powder? Tang Xiaoxi narrowed her eyes. It's the heavenly fire. Legend has it that the heavenly fire can burn everything. It's just a piece of cake for it to burn rocks. I didn't expect to see the heavenly fire here. Mu, let's go back quickly. Once the heavenly fire falls on us, I'm afraid we'll be burned into a pile of ashes even if we have the body of the sanctuary. No. Lin Muyu's heart skipped a beat. She said, Xiaoxi, go back to my room and wait for me. I need these heavenly fire. This kind of heavenly fire came from nature, but its temperature was even higher than the hellfire. Wasn't this what Lin Muyu needed the most? Seeing her determined look, Tang Xiaoxi bit her red lips and said, Well, Mu won't go back. I'll stay here with you. No, Xiaoxi, go back. It's dangerous here. Humph, you dare to drive me away? I'm a princess. The beautiful princess quickly got into her role and began to put on airs. Lin Muyu shrugged. Well, you help me hold the umbrella. I'm going to refine these heavenly fire. Okay. Tang Xiaoxi held the umbrella. Because of the height difference, she almost crossed her legs. Ignoring the heavy rain, Lin Muyu quickly came to the place where the heavenly fire landed. She opened her hand and spat out her fighting energy. The light of the refining cauldron quickly enveloped the heavenly fire. Then Lin Muyu closed her eyes. It was not easy to refine a kind of fire. She needed to understand its temperature and characteristics. The characteristics of the hellfire were fierce, while the heavenly fire was destructive. Buzz. The crafting cauldron trembled slowly, and the heavenly fire seemed to have a mind of its own. What Lin Muyu needed to do was to use her battle chi to control these heavenly fire and make them submit to her and be used for her own purposes. The night wind was cold like a knife scraping her skin. Tang Xiaoxi trembled slightly. She had to release the fire fox martial soul. The small fire fox lingered on her shoulder, providing heat for its master. Lin Muyu was immersed in the process of refining the heavenly fire. He closed his eyes and surrounded his whole body with fighting energy. He looked like a god of war resting with his eyes closed. Tang Xiaoxi looked at him and a smile appeared on her lips. It seemed that just looking at him like this was also a happy thing. The refinement process lasted for 7 hours. By the time the heavenly fire was successfully refined and tamed, it was already close to dawn. The cold rain was still falling. Lin Muyu slowly breathed a sigh of relief and opened his eyes. There was a strange look in his eyes. When he turned around he found that Tang Xiaoxi was almost frozen into a beautiful ice sculpture. There were even icicles hanging from her long hair. She was staring at him silently with her big eyes. "Are you okay, Xiaoxi?" He anxiously hugged her. "Is it too cold?" Tang Xiaoxi was so cold that her whole body was trembling. She nodded. "Oh, why aren't you cold at all? Your body is so hot." "Because I'm a young man." "That's enough. Let's go back quickly." "Okay." When they returned to Lin Muyu's room he quickly ordered Wei Chou to prepare some water for Tang Xiaoxi to take a bath. Then he boiled some ginger soup for her. As for Lin Muyu he waited outside the door until Tang Xiaoxi finished bathing, ate something and went to bed. "Are you feeling better?" He looked at Tang Xiaoxi who was lying on his bed. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and nodded. "Yes, much better. Your guards are waiting outside. If I don't hand you over they will kill me." He let them be. "Ooh, don't go. Stay here with me, okay?" "Okay then." Lin Muyu sat on the bed and watched Tang Xiaoxi fall asleep. Then she started to work. That's right, she could refine that stubborn stone now. Buzz. The artifact refining cauldron appeared in the hall of her residence. Lin Muyu controlled the artifact refining cauldron with one hand and threw the 9 heavens spiritual iron in with the other. With a soft chant, the 6th layer of refining fire, heavenly fire emerged and lingered around the 9 heavens spiritual iron as it burned fiercely. In an instant the outer layer of the 9 heavens spiritual iron began to peel off. It was a success. This heavenly flame was indeed extraordinary. Its refining effect was much stronger than the hellfire's refining effect. After nearly 2 hours the 9 heavens spiritual iron was completely melted into lava. Lin Muyu reached into her Qiankuan bag and took out the 12,300-year-old dragon snake spirit stone. Then she continued to refine the spirit stone. Chapter 174. Swoosh, swoosh. Streaks of heavenly fire in the form of fiery red divine dragons circled around the spirit stone, letting out a low whistling sound. Lin Muyu focused on increasing her battle chi to continuously provide energy to the weapon refining cauldron. Under the constant burning and tempering of the heavenly fire, a corner of the dragon snake spirit stone peeled off, revealing the fiery red layer of spiritual power inside. At the same time, with a long howl, the fiery red soul of the dragon snake rushed out of the spirit stone and began to attack fiercely. It extended its long tongue and opened its bloody mouth to devour Lin Muyu. After refining the soul so many times, Lin Muyu had already expected this. Without saying much, he quickly increased his battle chi to strengthen the protective wall of the weapon refining cauldron. At the same time he let out a soft shout and his entire aura quickly descended into the weapon refining cauldron, forming an invisible domain. Perhaps his strength was not enough to form a suppressive force in the outside world, but the weapon refining cauldron was his domain, so it was not impossible to condense a suppressive force. In the end, under Lin Muyu's strong suppressive force, the soul of the dragon snake howled miserably and tried to bite Lin Muyu again and again, but all of them hit the protective wall of the weapon refining cauldron in front of Lin Muyu. Unknowingly, he no longer relied on the seven luminaries' dark force to suppress the beast soul's counterattack. No matter how strong the dragon snake was, it could not touch him at all. Finally, the soul of the dragon snake struggled a little and Lin Muyu slowly raised her arm. Instantly, the heavenly fire chains in the treasure cauldron formed a large hand and grabbed the body of the dragon snake. Under the tempering of the heavenly fire, the soul of the dragon snake instantly disintegrated, turning into specks of starlight that seeped into the scorching hot nine heavens spirit iron lava. Squeak, squeak. In the faint sound, the impurities in the iron lava were constantly refined and sublimated. The remaining iron lava was red and almost purple. In Ihai, Lulu quickly gave Lin Muyu a set of sword molds. After repeatedly selecting, she finally chose a set that she was more satisfied with. This was a set of sword molds that was designed with the symbol of dragon. The body of the sword was slender, but the edge of the sword was thicker and more dignified. The blade was about 1 centimeter wide, and behind it was a simple and unadorned Eastern pattern. In the center of the blade was a thin blood groove, and on both sides were engraved patterns of divine dragons. The sword hilt appeared very graceful, like the head of a real dragon, and its whiskers slowly spread out, looking very lifelike. At the end of the sword hilt was a 6-pointed star pattern. In the middle of the 6-pointed star was hollowed out, with a Tai Chi 8 trigrams floating above it. The spiritual power was gently flowing, but the people in this world didn't pay attention to the balance of yin and yang, so they probably didn't understand the profound meaning of the 8 trigrams. Soon the shape of the whole sword was revealed. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and continued to use her spiritual sense to refine the details of the blade. When she was refining the burning prairie sword, she adopted the design of compound blades, with a total of 5 compound cutting layers. This way the sword would be sharper and more durable. However, the material of this sword was rarer than the Millennium Meteoric Iron. The density was higher and the particles were finer. Therefore, Lin Muyu spent a lot of effort and spent nearly an hour to carefully polish it. She designed a total of 10 compound cutting layers for this new sword. It could be said that this sword was also the pinnacle of Lin Muyu's current forging ability. Ow ow! This dignified and unadorned long sword was done in the blink of an eye, and the roar of a dragon snake that sounded like a real dragon came from it. What should I call it? Naturally, Lin Muyu was very satisfied with this sword. After thinking for a long time, she decided that since this sword was made of dragon snake spirit stone and 9 heavens spirit iron, she would take the common name of the two and call it dragon spirit sword. Puff! The dragon spirit sword fell into the water tank in the room and suddenly a burst of steam rose, directly waking up Tang Xiaoxi. She rubbed her sleepy eyes and propped herself up. She asked, "Mu, you're not asleep yet?" "Yes, there's no place to sleep. Didn't you take the bed?" Lin Muyu turned around and saw that Tang Xiaoxi had gone to bed after bathing. She didn't wear a coat at all. At this moment, a large area of her ice skin and jade bones was exposed. In an instant, Lin Muyu felt her head heat up. She hurriedly used the spirit pulse technique to focus. Tang Xiaoxi seemed to have also noticed her appearance. She blushed and immediately burrowed back into the blanket. She took some clothes from the side and put them on one by one. Lin Muyu didn't look at her and reached out to pick up the dragon spirit sword from the bottom of the water tank. This sword was far heavier than an ordinary long sword, about 50 jin. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to swing it at all. However, Lin Muyu was already a heaven realm expert and his arm strength was astonishing. Moreover, he had sword heart. When he forged the weapon, he had already fused with the sword soul of the dragon spirit sword. Therefore, he could lift the heavy sword as if it was light. He held the dragon spirit sword in his hand and swung it lightly. Hum, hum. The edge of the sword brought with it a formless gust of wind, making people gasp in admiration. This sword was something Lin Muyu had never seen before, be it in appearance or sharpness. Because Tang Xiaoxi was there, Lulu didn't fly out. She only looked at the sea and said with a smile, "Congratulations, big brother, for obtaining another peerless godly weapon. According to this world's weapon classification, this dragon spirit sword is a 4th rank saint grade." 4th rank saint grade? Lin Muyu was secretly delighted. Is it even sharper than the Emperor's Desolation sword? Of course. The Desolation sword is 6th rank saint grade, while the dragon spirit sword is 4th rank saint grade. It's 2 ranks higher. This dragon spirit sword should be able to cut open the scales of the 10,000-year dragon snake, right? And it definitely can. Lulu giggled. Big brother, I didn't expect you to still be troubled by the dragon snake's defense. That's right. Lin Muyu sighed and said, the art of smithing is my biggest reliance in this world. If I can't rely on the sharpness of my weapon to defeat those stronger than me, then what else can I rely on? If my burning prairie sword could pierce through the dragon snake's scales, I'm afraid Xiao Yin and big brother Feng Jixing wouldn't have encountered such danger. Lulu smiled slightly. Big brother, you don't have to blame yourself. Your performance was already very perfect. If you performed a little better, it would inevitably arouse suspicion. And you're right. Lin Muyu waved the dragon spirit sword and cut a piece of black cloth from the curtain at the side to wrap the newly forged sword. However, at this moment someone grabbed his arm. It was Tang Xiaoxi. Is this the work you've been working on all night? Tang Xiaoxi smiled sweetly. Yes. Lin Muyu pulled off the black cloth and showed the dragon spirit sword to Tang Xiaoxi without reservation. He asked with a smile, Xiaoxi, is my smithing skills worthy of the title of Grand Master? Of course. Tang Xiaoxi giggled. Mu is the best. The sword, what grade is it? About the 4th rank of Saint grade. What? A Saint grade weapon? This time Tang Xiaoxi's mouth was wide open. She looked at him and said, did I hear it wrong? There are only a few Saint grade weapons in the entire Lanyan city. The Emperor's Desolation sword is rumored to be the strongest weapon in the capital, but your sword is stronger than it? Of course it's stronger. Lin Muyu grinned and said, Xiaoxi, you have to keep this a secret. If people know that I'm a Grand Master of smithing, I'm afraid that the door will be broken. Yes. Tang Xiaoxi smiled faintly. If people really know, I'm afraid that His Majesty the Emperor Duke Kanglin, Duke Muyun, and even King Zhenan in Lingnan will send people to invite you to join their families. After all, a person who can forge a Saint-grade weapon is rare in the world. Moreover, Mu, the shape of your sword is a bit strange. I'm afraid it won't fit well with a normal scabbard. When you ask someone to forge the scabbard for you, don't take the sword with you. Just draw a drawing directly. Well, Xiaoxi is really thoughtful. I understand. When are you going to forge the scabbard? I'll go with you. I'll also ask you to accompany me for a stroll in Lanyan City. In the afternoon. In the afternoon, Lanyan City was very quiet, but from time to time, there were people galloping on horses. Their destination was the Chamber of Commerce of the imperial capital. It seemed that the 100 bottles of Dream of the Zenith would be auctioned this afternoon. Needless to say, it must be unprecedentedly lively. All the noble childs would not miss the legendary treasure of Dream of the Zenith. Lin Muyu had no intention of watching the grand auction, so he went to the blacksmith shop with Tang Xiaoxi. Due to Tang Xiaoxi's repeated insistence, the scabbard of the dragon spirit sword was forged by Tang Xiaoxi. Scabbards were generally made of wood and metal, so Lin Muyu couldn't do it himself. He was good at forging, but he was not a carpenter. The shopkeeper looked at Tang Xiaoxi and Lin Muyu with a fat face and said with a smile, generally, the wood used in scabbard is divided into several grades. The higher the grade, the stronger and more durable it is. Miss, look, this is mahogany and the casting cost is only 1 gold kin coin. This is rosewood and the casting cost is 3 gold kin coins. As for this black spirit wood, it's even more expensive, costing 10 gold kin coins. Of course, the most expensive and also the best is this red gold wood. The wood is very light but very strong. Let's use the red gold wood. Tang Xiaoxi smiled and said, the accessories for the scabbard can be made of red gold. How much do you think this scabbard will cost? A total of about 120 gold kin coins. Got it. Tang Xiaoxi took out a diamond coin and said with a smile, make it as exquisite as you can. Money is not a problem. The shopkeeper's face was glowing. All right, I will definitely not disappoint Miss and your boyfriend. Ah. Tang Xiaoxi was stunned and her face instantly turned red. She wanted to say that Lin Muyu wasn't her boyfriend, but on second thought, there was nothing wrong with that, so she shyly acquiesced. Lin Muyu coughed and didn't say anything else. In any case, Tang Xiaoxi was obedient and treated her well. If she really had a girlfriend like her, it would be a gift from the heavens. However, Duke of Zhonglong might not think that way. After all, Tang Xiaoxi was a princess, so it was impossible for her to marry a mid-ranked general like her. After thinking for a moment, she hurriedly shook her head. What was she thinking? It was all a mess. Chapter 175. Amidst the sounds of hammering, Lin Muyu and Tang Xiaoxi waited for nearly 2 hours. The efficiency of this smithy was quite high. 4 or 5 blacksmiths worked together, and in just 2 hours the scabbard that Lin Muyu needed was forged. Pure gold wood, a type of wood similar to pure gold. It was polished very smoothly and the hard pure gold was inlaid around it. The metal was engraved with gorgeous patterns, and it looked quite similar to the style of the dragon spirit sword. "Milord, are you satisfied?" the shopkeeper said with a smile. Lin Muyu took the scabbard and weighed it in her hand. It was about 3 kilograms, not bad. She raised her hand to hold the scabbard of the dragon spirit sword, and with a sudden shake the black cloth was shredded. Before the shopkeeper could see the true appearance of the dragon spirit sword, the blade entered the scabbard with a caw sound, and there was no gap between them. Good craftsmanship indeed. Seeing Lin Muyu's satisfied expression, Tang Xiaoxi smiled and said, "All right, can we go out now?" "Wait a little longer." "Oh? What are you waiting for?" "In a while Wei Chou and the others will come." Tang Xiaoxi didn't understand, so she continued to stroll around Skyspan Street with him. In less than half an hour Wei Chou appeared with dozens of Eagle Nest camp soldiers, and he even dragged a few carriages. They were here to transport the dragon snake shields. "Milord." Wei Chou cupped his fists and said with a smile, "We can go load the goods now." "Go." "Yes." When they arrived at the smithy, the shopkeeper had already recognized Lin Muyu. With a face full of smiles, he walked up and said, "Milord Lin Muyu, this batch of dragon snake shields has been completely forged. Please follow me." "Yes." After entering the inner courtyard of the ironware shop, they saw piles of black dragon snake shields already piled up there. The shopkeeper lifted one of the shields with force and stretched out his hand to gently brush the metal on the edge of the shield. He said with a smile, "The main body of these dragon snake shields is made of dragon snake scales, and the surface is covered with a layer of dark steel. The edge is even cast with 100-year dark steel, and the handle is wrapped with cowhide. It is impervious to water and fire and can be said to be indestructible. There probably isn't any sharp weapon in the world that can cut through this 10,000-year-old dragon snake shield, right?" "Really?" Lin Muyu smiled faintly and suddenly unsheathed her sword. The dragon spirit sword's aura surged and drew a fiery arc in the air, sweeping across the surface of the dragon snake shield in a straight line. Half a second later, it was sheathed with a dang sound. The speed of her attack stunned Wei Chou, Tang Xiaoxi and the shopkeeper. It was as if a bolt of lightning had flashed past. "Pa!" The surface of the dragon snake shield suddenly cracked open. Then the shield quickly split into 2 halves and landed in the shopkeeper's hands. This. The shopkeeper's face was full of shock. "How is this possible?" "We have tested it many times. The strongest blacksmith in the shop used our best weapon to hack at the dragon snake shield. Even when he hit the opening, the dragon snake shield was not damaged in the slightest. Madam Lin Muyu, your sword is..." Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and said, "I just want to tell you that there is nothing in this world that is indestructible. All right, move the dragon snake shields out and load them up." "Yes." Wei Chou looked at the dragon snake shields and said happily, "Madam, these shields, are they prepared for the Eagle Nest camp?" Lin Muyu quickly dampened his enthusiasm. She could not give him any hope. "No, after this, you will accompany me to Dragon Rocky Mountain and send these shields over. I have prepared them for the Longdan army camp." "Ah." Wei Chou narrowed his eyes. "Madam's mercenary group?" "Yes, it is officially registered. Hey, it is indeed enviable. The people of the Longdan army camp can actually use such good equipment. Even the most elite troops of the Empire probably do not have such equipment. If you are envious, you can resign from your post and go to the Longdan army camp to be a vice commander." Lin Muyu teased. Wei Chou also laughed. "Madam, you must be joking. I have sworn to be loyal to the Empire." "Huh." Lin Muyu did not point it out. The Longdan army camp was a private army after all. It naturally could not be compared to the royal guards. After all, the royal guards were the most elite troops of the Empire. It was not an exaggeration to say that the Longdan army camp was unknown. A total of 5 carts of dragon snake shields were loaded onto the carriages. They were wrapped in huge black cloth and slowly drove on Tongtian Street. When they passed by the Duke of Seven Seas' mansion, Tang Xiaoxi had no choice but to go home. She pouted and angrily said goodbye to Lin Muyu. She also made an appointment to meet again. In reality, there was no time, but Lin Muyu promised to go to the Duke's mansion to find her when she was free. He continued to lead the caravan forward, and not long after, the sound of weeping could be heard from the front. A group of young women dressed in rags appeared on the street, and they were guarded by Imperial Army soldiers wielding weapons. It was obvious who they were: camp concubines. They passed by the carts. Among them was a girl who looked to be at most 15 years old. Her face was full of dirt, but it could not hide her beauty under her messy hair. Her arms and legs were full of whip marks. It was obvious that she had been whipped. Lin Muyu rode on a horse and looked down at her. The girl actually turned her head and looked up at Lin Muyu. Their eyes met. The girl moved her lips but did not say anything. "Wait." Lin Muyu's cry immediately made Wei Chou confused. He said in a low voice, "Madam, don't be impulsive again. Even if you save these girls, there will be new ones to replace them. Don't be impulsive. You don't want to be exiled to Tongtian Tower again, do you?" "Of course not." Lin Muyu smiled and turned her horse around. She looked at the girl and asked, "Where are you from?" The girl's face was full of fear. "Tongtian Province. Why did you come to Lanyan City?" Lin Muyu tried her best to maintain a sunny smile so that she would not be so nervous. The girl's lips moved again and her eyes were full of fear. She knew that the person in front of her was a senior officer. If she spoke carelessly, she might meet a more tragic fate. She lowered her head and said in a voice as soft as a mosquito, "My parents were killed by mercenaries. I was sold here by mercenaries." I know." Lin Muyu sat on her horse, feeling a little hesitant. At this moment, the centurion who was in charge of leading the troops said politely, "Madam Lin Muyu, these 40 girls are new recruits. We're just doing our job. We hope that Madam Lin Muyu will not make things difficult for us. After all, we are just following orders." "Yes, I know." Lin Muyu asked, "Madam, how many girls are there in the nurturing hall who have been sold and bought against their will?" The centurion looked worried. "There are about 50 of them." "Madam, what do you mean?" "I know." Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. "You don't have to worry. Bring these girls into the nurturing hall, but don't let anyone touch them. Wait for me for an hour. Is that all right? Just treat it as giving me some face." The centurion cupped his fists and smiled. "Madam, you must be joking. This is what I should do." "Yes, all right." As he watched the group of girls enter the nurturing hall, Wei Chou looked confused. "Madam, what are you trying to do?" Lin Muyu laughed self-deprecatingly. "In the past, I always thought that I was great and could change everything. I thought that I couldn't tolerate even a speck of dust in my eyes. Now I truly understand the true meaning of the saying, change what you can change and endure what you can't change. Perhaps this nurturing hall is something that I can't change with my power, but I can still change something. Wei Chou, where is the largest place in Lanyan City to drink with prostitutes?" Wei Chou was stunned. Madam, Wei Chou is a commoner and most of his salary is sent back home for retirement. How can I have extra Jin coins to drink with prostitutes? However, I know of a place called the Smile of Beauty's Alley. There are many restaurants there and they are all places to drink and have guests stay overnight. Bring me there immediately. The rest of you, escort the dragon snake shield back to Eagle Nest Mountain and wait for my orders." "Yes." The two of them spurred on their horses and not long after, they entered a small alley filled with women. There were brightly colored door signs all around, giving off a sense of déjà vu in the lovely spring brothel. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh inwardly. She and Wei Chou were both young and handsome imperial guards, and they were wearing bright armor at the moment. They quickly became the targets of the brothel keepers. Not far away, a brothel keeper with a mole on her chin quickly came forward. She wasn't afraid of strangers and reached out to grab Lin Muyu's reins. She giggled and said, "Oh, madam, you haven't been here for a long time?" Wei Chou couldn't help but laugh. "Madam, I didn't expect you to also," Lin Muyu said seriously. "Damn it, I swear on my honor that I really haven't been here before. This is just their professional term." "Is that so?" Wei Chou looked like he didn't believe her. Lin Muyu flipped over and got off the horse. The brothel keeper immediately came up to him and held his hand. She said intimately, "Madam, do you know any girls here? If you want them, just tell me. There's no need to be polite or shy." Yes. Lin Muyu deliberately propped up his arm and slowly pushed the brothel keeper away. He smiled and said, "Mother, I want to ask, are the girls here for sale?" "Of course we are for sale. Otherwise, why would we have customers? Madam, look, the best girls here sell for 2 gold kin coins a night. The second-class girls sell for 50 silver kin coins a night. The third-class girls are cheaper, only 10 silver kin coins a night." Lin Muyu's face darkened. "I'm not talking about this kind of sale. Then what kind are you talking about, madam?" "I'm talking about those who sell their bodies directly." The brothel keeper giggled, coquettishly. "Madam, you're so bad. The girls here sell their bodies, not their skills." Lin Muyu wanted to die. Wei Chou joked at the side. "Do the third-class girls cost 10 silver kin coins a night? Do you have any girls that sell for 10 copper kin coins a night? You can consider it." The brothel keeper smiled and said, "Madam, you must be joking. Those who sell for 10 copper kin coins a night are not girls but pigs." Wei Chou was speechless. Chapter 176. Be serious, be serious. Lin Muyu glared at Wei Chou. At the same time, she forced herself to be more serious. She said to the brothel keeper, "Mother, I just want to ask, do you have the kind where I can directly buy a contract to sell her?" The brothel keeper was stunned. Our ladies are all talented and skilled. If you want to buy one directly, it will be very expensive. What do you intend to do, my lord? What kind do you want?" Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry about what I want to do with them. I want the kind that is happy to do things, understand?" The brothel keeper laughed. "My lord, you want the kind that is passionate and hospitable?" "Yes, you can say that." Lin Muyu's scalp was already numb. Wei Chou was gloating at the side. The brothel keeper had already realized that a big business was coming. She said, "I have a total of 127 ladies in this restaurant. Do you want to call all of them down for my lord to choose?" "Sure." "Okay." The brothel keeper immediately raised her hands and shouted, "Ladies upstairs and downstairs, hurry up and receive the guests." Soon a large group of prostitutes gathered in the lobby. Wei Chou's eyes were glued to them. Lin Muyu was born in a business family. Her father had brought her out to socialize many times since she was an adult. She had also been to these brothels many times, so she had strong self-control. She had never eaten pork before, but she had seen pigs run. The brothel keeper secretly lifted her already sagging breasts and asked with a smile, "My lord, the contracts of the ladies here are basically between 300 and 500 jinyin coins. How many do you want to buy?" 50. Lin Muyu said indifferently, "Can you give me a discount? 50? The brothel keeper opened her mouth and said with a smile, That many. My lord, you are really generous. If you buy 50, you can get one a day for 2 months. There won't be any duplicates." Lin Muyu glared at her. "I'm only asking you, how much does one cost if I buy 50? How about 350 jinyin coins? However, these 350 jinyin coins are all for me. Whether the girls want to go with you or not is up to them. I love them very much." "All right." Lin Muyu nodded. She looked at the group of prostitutes and said, "I won't hide it from you all. I'm buying you all because the foster hall is lacking a batch of female prostitutes. After you all leave with me, you might have to serve those soldiers. However, I won't let you all suffer any losses. As long as I buy you, I can give mother 350 jinyin coins for the money. At the same time, I will also give you 350 jinyin coins. If you're willing, come over." The brothel keeper was dumbfounded. "Sir is really generous. Ladies, you might not be able to earn that much in your lifetime. Hurry up." Instantly, many women had already stepped forward. Their faces were filled with numbness and hypocritical smiles. Lin Muyu naturally knew that they were willing to do anything for money. That was good too, it was a consensual relationship. Not long after, the 50 prostitutes had been selected. Lin Muyu muttered to herself and began to count. She gave the brothel keeper 17 diamond coins and 500 jinyin coins, then went to the gold bank to exchange for jinyin coins. Every woman received a heavy bag of jinyin coins. However, most of them were unwilling to bring Jin coins into the foster hall. Instead, they directly deposited them in the gold bank. Just like that, it took more than 2 hours. The sky was already close to dusk. When Lin Muyu brought the 50 gorgeously dressed prostitutes to the foster hall, a group of imperial guards couldn't control themselves. In their eyes, these women were much more interesting than the women in distress that they had brought in the afternoon. Lin Muyu found the centurion in charge of the foster hall and stuffed 1,000 Jin coins into his hands as a reward. He directly exchanged the 50 women who were unwilling to become concubines in the foster hall. The bright moon cast a layer of silver light on the streets. Lin Muyu and Wei Chou rode slowly with the 50 young women in tow. Wei Chou smiled and said, "It seems that after the incident at the Tower of Babel, Sir's methods have matured a lot." Lin Muyu sighed. "A fall into the pit, a gain in your wit. How does Sir plan to settle these women?" "Hire a few carriages and take them to Dragon Rocky Mountain." Sir's plan is, many of them are already homeless. If I dismiss them now, many of them will still be captured by others to become concubines, which is equivalent to not being able to save them. Therefore, I plan to build a village at the foot of Dragon Rocky Mountain and settle these homeless women down. I will let them learn how to farm, weave, and be self-sufficient. At the same time, I can use them to attract able-bodied men to marry so that they can live well. Sir is wise. Wei Chou's eyes were full of respect. At night, 50 Eagle Nest camp soldiers were sent to protect 500 shields and 50 young women to Dragon Rocky Mountain. Lin Muyu personally escorted them. Although Lanyan City was the imperial capital, Dragon-Seeking Forest was still not safe. The security was extremely poor, especially at night when bandits and mercenaries were most active. At midnight, they finally arrived at their destination. They could see the lights of Dragon Rocky Mountain in the distance. At the foot of the mountain, a dozen Longdan army camp mercenaries wearing standard armor and holding long halberds stood guard. When they saw Lin Muyu, one of them recognized her and immediately cupped his fists. "Greetings, Commander. Open the door and escort us up the mountain." "Sir." Lin Muyu's gaze swept across them. These mercenaries no longer had the hooliganism of a ruffian. Instead, they looked a little like soldiers. Luo Yu was indeed a talent. It was indeed the right choice to let him be in charge of the training of the Longdan army camp. Before they reached the peak of the mountain, dozens of cavalrymen led by Luo Yu had already greeted them. Luo Yu cupped his fists and smiled. "Sir, you're back." "Yes, I'm giving everyone some equipment." Lin Muyu waved his hand and the dragon snake shields on the carriage behind him flickered under the light of the fire. Luo Yu could tell with a glance that they were good stuff. He was ecstatic. "This is great, it's like sending charcoal in snowy weather. When we attacked the bandit camp yesterday, many of us were shot and injured. Today Sir has sent us sturdy shields. This is great. Let's go." "Yes." Luo Yu turned his horse around and rode alongside Lin Muyu. Looking at the many girls behind him, he frowned and said, "Sir, these girls, are they going to be maids up the mountain?" "No, there are no maids in the Longdan army camp." Lin Muyu shook his head and said, "From tomorrow onwards after training, we will lead everyone to the foot of the mountain to cut down trees and build houses. Within a month we will build a village under our protection. Is there a problem?" Luo Yu was startled. "As long as we have money there is no problem. And then let's do it." "Alright, how is the development of the mercenary group recently?" Luo Yu's face was filled with joy as he said, "Sir, in these 4 days, the Longdan army camp has swept through a total of 3 small mountain strongholds and 2 wandering mercenary groups with less than 200 people. This subordinate has selected talents from the captives and recruited them into the Longdan army camp. Now we have 274 people." "Good." Lin Muyu faintly smiled. "In terms of funds, is there enough?" "It's a bit not enough. It's fine." Lin Muyu took out 100 diamond coins from her Cosmos sack and said with a smile, "Here's 100,000 Jin coins. Don't spend too sparingly." Luo Yu nodded. "Sir." "Do your best to recruit people, the more the better. You might as well break the previous selection criteria. Some of the more courageous and upright people can be recruited into the Longdan army camp even if they haven't reached the 2nd level of the human realm." "Yes, this subordinate understands." That night they rested in the Longdan army camp. The next morning Lin Muyu sent Wei Chou to lead 50 Eagle Nest camp soldiers back to the camp. He would stay in the Dragon Rocky Mountain for a few days. After all, he was the highest authority here, so he had to get used to the people in the Longdan army camp. As for the group of girls, they had all settled down and were just waiting for the village at the foot of the mountain to be developed. Early in the morning, he sent 20 people to the nearby cities to hire carpenters and architects. Then he unfolded a map of the dragon-seeking forest on the table. There were many red dots marked on it. Luo Yu frowned and said, "Currently there are two forces that pose the greatest threat to us. One of them is the Flame Wolves mercenary group, and the other is the bandits of the Purple Chilan Mountain." Flame Wolves mercenary group? Yes. Luo Yu said, "The members of the Flame Wolves mercenary group are all wandering mercenaries. They make a living by robbing, killing and robbing. They often cause trouble to the villages within the territory of the Cloud County. Regarding this, the government of the Cloud County can't do anything. The Flame Wolves mercenary group has gathered almost 3,000 mercenaries and is very powerful. However, the total number of troops stationed in the Cloud County city does not exceed 2,000. Good lord. Lin Muyu held the hilt of the dragon spirit sword and said, 3,000 mercenaries is indeed a lot. It's about 10 times the number of us. If we really fight, our chances of winning are not high. Luo Yu smiled and nodded. Yes, that's why I haven't dared to make a move. However, rumor has it that the leader of the Flame Wolves mercenary group, Fengxi, is already eyeing our Dragon Rocky Mountain. It's said that he is determined to get us. In the next 2 days, the Flame Wolves mercenary group will definitely attack Dragon Rocky Mountain. That's great. A cold light flashed in Lin Muyu's eyes. Then I'll stay on Dragon Rocky Mountain for the next few days and deal with this Fengxi. After that, Lin Muyu gave her original sword, the Burning Prairie Sword, to Luo Yu. With Luo Yu's strength, she was worthy of this mysterious ranked treasure sword. Of course, Lin Muyu's Dragon Spirit Sword was even sharper. Any weapon below the mysterious rank would not be able to clash head-on with the Dragon Spirit Sword. Otherwise, the sword would break and the person would die. This was the strength of a saint rank weapon. After nightfall, the cold wind blew. Lin Muyu sat peacefully in the leader's room, cultivating the Forging Dragon Bone Remnant Scroll and the Spirit Pulse technique. As his strength and soul continued to increase, his thirst for power grew. Without enough power, he would not be able to stand in this world, not to mention changing anything. Knock, knock, knock. A knocking sound came from the door. Luo Yu said, "Sir, I just received a letter from Luo Yu. The Flame Wolves mercenary group's 1,500 men have already left their encampment and are heading straight for us. They will arrive at Dragon Rocky Mountain around midnight." Good. Lin Muyu sat up and said, "Arrange for the ambush." Yes. Chapter 177. There were not many people on Dragon Rocky Mountain. If they were surrounded, they would be in a desperate situation. Therefore, if they took the initiative to attack, they might be able to win. If not, they would definitely lose. Lin Muyu could not be said to be well versed in the art of war, but at least she understood such a simple principle. The Flame Wolf mercenaries' camp was about a 3-hour infantry journey from Dragon Rocky Mountain. Based on her understanding, the Flame Wolf mercenaries' camp was not very rich. They did not have more than 300 warhorses. Therefore, it was impossible for them to attack purely on cavalry. They could only advance with cavalry and infantry. Luo Yu pointed at the map and said, "They have a lot of people, so they will definitely take the official road. So here, Broken Claw Gorge is a place they must pass through. Broken Claw Gorge is a dangerous place, so it's a very good place for an ambush." Lin Muyu held a cup of fragrant tea to warm herself and said with a smile, "Then choose Broken Claw Gorge for an ambush. Bring more flags and bows. Try to defeat these 1,500 people with the least amount of casualties." Not long after, Dragon Rocky Mountain was brightly lit. Lin Muyu was a rich man in Lanyan City, so the Longdan army camp did not lack money. All of them were cavalry and each of them carried bows, spears and swords. They could attack from afar on horseback or on the ground. This was also the greatest characteristic of the Longdan army camp. Their individual combat abilities were very strong. Moreover, there were 2 Heaven State warriors, Lin Muyu and Luo Yu, leading them. This made them even more unstoppable. Only 70 people were left to guard the mountain. The other 200 people got on their horses and went down the mountain under Luo Yu's orders. The cold wind blew on her skin and it hurt like knives. Lin Muyu lifted the cloak of the temple battle robe to cover her face. She allowed the warhorse to move forward with the team, but she had a different feeling in her heart. The people around her obeyed her orders, and this was the army she truly controlled. This was the first time she personally led an attack and she could only win. In less than 2 hours they arrived at Broken Claw Gorge. As the city's name suggested, Broken Claw Gorge was like a sharp claw protruding from the ground. The cliffs were very rugged and steep. Luo Yu and the others stopped and surrounded Lin Muyu, waiting for specific orders. After Lin Muyu carefully examined the surrounding terrain, she simply said, "Luo Yu, lead 100 people and split into 2 groups to go up the mountain. Prepare stones, bows and flags on the cliffs. When all of their troops enter Broken Claw Gorge, start using bows, arrows and rolling stones. Also, don't forget to wave the flags and cheer them on. Don't let them know how many people we have. The other 100 people follow me and hide in the forest at the side. Once they lose their formation, we'll kill them." "Yes, Commander." Everyone's eyes lit up. 200 people against 1,500 people. What kind of challenge was that? However, Lin Muyu was brimming with confidence. Her 200 men were well-trained and well-equipped, while the other party's 1,500 men were a group of wandering mercenaries. To put it bluntly, they were a motley crew. Everyone hid in the ambush. The cold wind whistled in the air like the angry wailing of ghosts, covering all movements. The snorts of the warhorses had even disappeared with the wind. After waiting for a long time, suddenly, a white flag fluttered left and right on the cliff. Lin Muyu immediately gripped the dragon spirit sword tightly and shouted in a low voice, "Everyone get on your horses. They're here. Listen to my command and prepare to attack." Yes. The 100 Longdan army camp mercenaries behind her got on their horses. Their faces were full of fighting spirit. Most of them were human realm and earth realm cultivators, so they were already very strong. Now that they were facing a group of wandering mercenaries, they were even more confident and eager to fight. Finally, the sound of horses galloping could be heard in the wind. In the distance, on the official road below the Broken Claw Gorge, a group of people appeared. This group of mercenaries were actually holding torches and lanterns as they moved forward. Lin Muyu couldn't help but snicker. These idiots, aren't they purposely exposing their position? They really are a motley crew. Who's their leader? Lin Muyu asked. Behind her, a mercenary said, "It's Luo Jian, who's at the first firmament of Earth Realm. He's the vice captain of the Flame Wolves mercenaries. Every time they go out, he's the vanguard." "All right, capture Luo Jian alive." "Yes." In the cold wind, the Flame Wolves mercenaries slowly entered the vicinity of Broken Claw Gorge. Just when the last group of them entered Broken Claw Gorge, war drums suddenly sounded. Arrows fell from the cliffs on both sides like rain and huge rocks fell from the sky. It was like a disaster. At the same time, at least dozens of Longdan army camps' war flags were waving on Broken Claw Gorge, and their shouts soared into the sky. "Damn." Lin Muyu grinned. Luo Yu was actually able to make such a big movement, which was very surprising to him. Many people from the Flame Wolves mercenaries quickly died, and their faces were full of anger. In the crowd, Vice Captain Luo Jian held his sword, urged his horse and shouted, "The way back has been cut off. Those despicable people from Longdan army camp. Brothers, follow me and charge forward. Ignore their ambush, let's go straight to the root of the problem and destroy their nest." More than 1,000 mercenaries rushed forward at the same time, but each and every one of them looked like they had thrown away their helmets and armor. Dang! Lin Muyu pulled out the dragon spirit sword and shouted, "Kill!" She took the lead and opened the wall of the gourd to protect herself and her horse. The other side immediately sent out a large group of soldiers with spears at least 3 meters long to intercept them. This group of wandering mercenaries had some ability, at least they knew how to deal with cavalry. However, Lin Muyu was not an ordinary cavalry. Nay, the warhorse neighed and leaped into the air. Lin Muyu brandished his long sword and the dragon spirit sword sliced through iron like it was mud. Ka ka ka, sounds could be heard as more than a dozen spears were broken. In the next moment he had already charged into the crowd. He raised his long sword and slashed down from above, directly chopping off the arm of a wandering mercenary. Listen. Lin Muyu secretly admired the sharpness of this saint-rank sword. When he held the burning prairie sword, he had never felt so comfortable. He spurred his horse forward, and in a flash he had killed more than a dozen people. Behind him, the mercenaries from Longdan army camp also rushed forward, and the light of their martial spirits was constantly flashing, and the situation quickly became a crushing one. Bastard! Not far away, Luo Jian held a spear in his hand, and the power of his martial spirit appeared on his shoulder. He spurred his horse forward, and before he got close he shook his spear, and the spearhead was like a poisonous snake trying to swallow Lin Muyu's neck. This kid's spear skills looked very ruthless. But Lin Muyu's reaction speed was faster, and he gently moved his head to avoid the attack, and the spear stabbed into the wall of the gourd. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he gently waved his dragon spirit sword, and with a kacha sound, Luo Jian's spear was directly cut in half. How can this be? Luo Jian retreated, but there was no way out. Lin Muyu rushed forward and fiercely punched him, and with a bang sound, Luo Jian slightly swayed on his horse, and was immediately grabbed by Lin Muyu and placed on the back of the horse. She shouted, "Luo Jian has been caught by me, do you still want to continue to struggle?" Her martial spirit shone brightly, and an intense dou qi appeared around Lin Muyu's body, shooting up into the sky. Immediately, the group of mercenaries were dumbstruck. No one had thought that this would be the result, and even more so, that their vice-captain would be captured in just one round. Luo Yu had already rushed down from the cliff with the burning prairie sword in hand and loudly shouted, "Those who put down their weapons will be spared from death." Dang! Dang! Spears and swords fell to the ground. Sure enough, they were just a motley crew. The Longdan army camp had only suffered a very small loss, but they had managed to capture almost all of the 1,200+ people. Lin Muyu put Luo Jian down from his horse, and Luo Jian's face was full of shame, and he said, "My skills are not as good as yours. If you want to kill me, then kill me." "Who wants to kill you?" Lin Muyu glanced at him and said, "Luo Jian, are you willing to surrender and join the Longdan army camp? Don't humiliate me. If you want to kill me, then kill me." Luo Jian's eyes burned. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh and said word by word, "Are you trying to express your moral integrity to me? Tell me, your Flame Wolf mercenary group burned, killed, and plundered, provoking the wrath of the heavens and the resentment of the people. You indiscriminately killed the innocent and used your strength to bully the weak. What qualifications do you scum have to talk about moral integrity with me? Right now, I'll give you a chance to turn over a new leaf and become a mercenary that doesn't let down your conscience. Are you willing to join the Longdan army camp?" Luo Jian's eyes flashed. Every word from Lin Muyu stabbed at his sore spot. No matter how strong he was still a despicable wandering mercenary, a person who killed the innocent and a beast. How could he talk about moral integrity? Your Longdan army camp might not be full of good people, right? In this world, good people don't live long. Luo Jian suddenly said with a sneer. Lin Muyu also smiled and pointed behind her and said, "The Longdan army camp will never bully the weak, nor will we indiscriminately kill the innocent for money. If there is, we will kill without mercy. Whether you believe it or not, the Longdan army camp will definitely do it." Luo Jian sighed and finally made a decision. "Fine, I'll use my cheap life to see if you, Lin Muyu, can really do what you say and be a mercenary that doesn't let down his conscience. You will get what you want." Lin Muyu was naturally very confident. Why would wandering mercenaries burn, kill, and loot? It was because they were poor, but the Longdan army camp would not be poor. They had an endless income from the Imperial Chamber of Commerce, enough to support a small elite army. The remaining nearly 1,300 wandering mercenaries were all brought back to the Dragon Rocky Mountain, and nearly 742 of them were selected to join the Longdan army camp. The rest were sent away after collecting their weapons and armors. At least they could not be used by Fishi again. In the afternoon, a group of mercenaries from the Longdan army camp drank to their heart's content at the celebration banquet. Only Luo Jian sat sullenly at the side. Lin Muyu walked up to him and asked with a smile, "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking..." Luo Jian wanted to say something but stopped. His eyes swept over Lin Muyu and smiled. "Do you think that Commander Fengshi will let this go?" "Lin Muyu, your celebration banquet is too early. You have to know that the real elites of the Flame Dragon mercenary group are the remaining 1,500 people." "I know." Lin Muyu smiled slightly. But it's okay, sooner or later they will be my people. Luo Yu, you will be responsible for the normal training of the Longdan army camp. I will go out for a few days. Yes. Luo Yu cupped her fists. Luo Jian's eyes were a little dull and he was silent. Chapter 178. Xian Mist Town was a peaceful town located in the northeast corner of Yunzhong Commandery. Xian Mist Town was famous for its wine made from 5 grains. Although the town was not large, it had more than 20 pubs, which attracted a lot of paladins and wandering mercenaries. At the same time, Xian Mist Town was also the base of the Flame Wolf mercenary group. Early in the morning, a light drizzle fell from the sky, moistening everything in the small town. The continuous drizzle fell on the stone pavement and the soil, nurturing new life for the next spring. The pedestrians on the road looked hurried. A few burly men with heavy battle axes on their backs were asking about the price of ale in the tavern, but they just shook their heads. They didn't have enough money on them, so they wanted to find a cheaper tavern. In the drizzle, a young man in a yellow straw raincoat walked slowly. He raised his head and lifted his cloak, revealing a delicate and handsome face. He stopped in front of a tavern and immediately attracted the attention of the lady boss of the tavern. She went up to him and said with a smile, "Young master, do you want to stay here or drink?" He smiled slightly. It was a very beautiful smile but also a little immature, and said, "I want to ask, where is the headquarters of the Flame Wolf mercenary group?" The Flame Wolf mercenary group? The proprietress was stunned for a moment, then stopped smiling and said, "Young master, you want to join the Flame Wolf mercenary group, right?" "Yes." Lord Fengshi lives in the courtyard at the northernmost part of this street. "But young master, you don't look like a wandering mercenary, do you?" "Thank you." Lin Muyu cupped her hands in gratitude, pulled down her cloak and continued to walk in the rain. At this moment, a carriage suddenly galloped in front of them. The coachman's face was full of ferocity. He raised his horsewhip from afar and shouted, "Get out of the way, bastard!" Whoosh! The horsewhip flew in an arc towards Lin Muyu's neck. However, Lin Muyu's speed was even faster. She had already raised her left hand and grabbed the end of the whip with a paw sound. With a sudden tug, the coachman was forcefully pulled down from the carriage. It was too dangerous for a coachman to dare to drive a horse so recklessly in a small town. Bang! The coachman fell to the ground and fell flat on his face. His face was covered in mud and water. He hurriedly climbed up and cursed, "Bastard, how dare you be so impudent? Brothers, get off the carriage and chop him up." Immediately, several strong men jumped out of the carriage, carrying broadaxes and long swords. Each one of them had a fierce expression on their faces, and one of them even summoned his martial spirit. It was a mad wolf martial spirit, roughly 7th or 8th grade. Raising his battle-axe, he chopped down on Tang Wulin's head and angrily cursed, "Dare to block this elder's path, courting death." The battle-axe was coming at a rapid speed, but Lin Muyu didn't dodge. With a light shout, the indigo gourd walls were released, and with a ping sound, the big man was sent flying along with the battle-axe. On the other side, a mercenary suddenly thrust his long sword at Lin Muyu's chest, but he didn't think that Lin Muyu's movements would be faster. She dodged the attack, and with a sweep of her right hand, the hilt of her long sword heavily struck the mercenary's chest. Bang! The mercenary let out a muffled groan and retreated a few steps, gasping for breath. Lin Muyu lifted a corner of her cloak, revealing a pair of frightening eyes, and indifferently said, "Don't provoke me, or else I can't guarantee that I won't be able to hold back next time." The few mercenaries were dumbstruck as they watched Lin Muyu's martial spirit gradually dissipate. None of them dared to say a word and could only stare blankly as Lin Muyu turned around and left. At this time, at the corner of the street, a monkey-like man saw this scene, and hastily jumped onto his horse and madly galloped towards the end of the street. He dismounted in front of a house with a green gate, and quickly rushed into the main hall and loudly said, "Captain, not good Lin Muyu is here." In the hall, a young martial artist around 30 years old, wearing light armor, was sipping tea, and frowning he said, "Wang Ho, you're still not calm. How could Lin Muyu dare to come to our Flame Wolf mercenaries' territory alone? But I really saw him, and his martial spirit is a green gourd." Green gourd. Fengxi raised his head to look at him and said with a smile, Green Gourd Martial Spirit of the 10th grade, there are countless people in Lanyan City who have a Green Gourd Martial Spirit. If not 10,000, there are at least 8,000 people who have a Green Gourd Martial Spirit. How can you determine that he is Lin Muyu with just a Green Gourd Martial Spirit? Monkey Wong's face was pale. He gasped for breath and said, but his green gourd is an indigo gourd. Moreover, it is infused with Dou Qi instead of Zhen Qi. I can see it clearly. He is coming towards us. What? Fengxi finally could not sit still any longer. He stood up and bellowed, men, gather the troops immediately and get the archers ready. Also, place 300 executioners on both sides of the hall. I want to see what this Lin Muyu is trying to do by sending himself to our doorstep. Yes. The green door was covered with dried moss. Dong dong dong, rhythmically knocked on the door, and a mercenary carefully stepped forward to open the door. The moment he opened the door, he took a few steps back. His face was full of vigilance. Outside the door, Lin Muyu shook off the rain on her body, revealing the dignified temple armor under the straw raincoat. The white robe on her back made the mercenaries feel a chill in their hearts, as if the armor was bestowed with some kind of terrible power, making them tremble. Is Captain Fengxi at home? Lin Muyu faced the group of mercenaries who pointed their spears at her and said with a smile, Is this how the Flame Wolves mercenaries treat their guests? At this time Fengxi's voice came from the hall. All of you stand down. Ha, it's Master Lin Muyu. I didn't know you came from afar. Please forgive me for not welcoming you. Master, please come into the hall for a chat. Many thanks. Lin Muyu's gaze swept across the surrounding group of mercenaries, and just like that she stepped into the core of the Flame Wolves mercenaries' encampment. Using the spirit pulse technique, she could sense at least 500 people surrounding the area, and there were even archers lying in ambush behind the surrounding walls. There were even a few young archers who had already poked their longbows out of the wall and pointed them at her. Heh. With a slight smile, Lin Muyu sat down without hesitation. Fengxi's face was cloudy and he asked, Master Lin Muyu, may I know why you've come this time? To lobby you. Lobby me for what? Fengxi was stunned. To lobby you to give up your position as captain, and bring your people to join the Longdan army camp. Lin Muyu smiled slightly. What? Fengxi's eyebrows raised and he said angrily, Lin Muyu, do you think my Flame Wolves mercenaries have no people? If you come here alone, do you believe that I won't turn you into minced meat in minutes? I do. Lin Muyu smiled and cupped her hands, saying, I ask Master Fengxi to spare my life and let me finish what I have to say first, then it won't be too late to turn me into minced meat. Fengxi held back his anger and said, Fine, tell me. My Flame Wolves mercenaries still have at least 2,000 elites. Why should we be at your mercy? If you can't give me a reason that can convince me, then don't even think of walking out of here alive today. Fine. Lin Muyu said lightly. The empire is divided into 12 provinces and Lanyan City is located in the North Ridge province, so the mercenary world in the North Ridge province is the most prosperous. The total number of mercenary bands in the North Ridge province is uncountable, but there are 8 big mercenary bands. The first-ranked North Ridge mercenary group has over 10,000 soldiers, and the second-ranked Sacred Flame mercenary group also has 9,000 men. In the Cloud Central Commandery, besides you and me, there is another powerful mercenary band, the Flame Dragon mercenary group. They have a total of 7,500 men, over 2,000 warhorses and are well-equipped. They have long been eyeing your Flame Wolves mercenary group. Don't you feel uneasy, Captain Fengxi? Fengxi took a deep breath and his expression was very ugly. Lin Muyu's few words seemed to have pierced his vitals, leaving him powerless to refute. Humph. The Flame Dragon mercenary group is but a plate of loose sand, nothing to fear. He snorted coldly and then said, Master Lin Muyu is so calm and composed. Do you think that after the Flame Wolves mercenary group is destroyed, the Flame Dragon mercenary group will let go of your Longdan army camp? They won't. Lin Muyu shook her head and said with a smile, Therefore, divided we are weak, united we are strong. This is the reason why I came today. Fengxi couldn't help but smile and said, Since you want our Flame Dragon mercenary group to join the Longdan army camp, then tell me, what qualifications do you have to make us join you? Lin Muyu put up 3 fingers and said with a faint smile, First, the Longdan Army Camp's base, Dragon Rocky Mountain, is dangerous, easy to defend and hard to attack. Second, the Longdan Army Camp has enough food and weapons, and we can buy another batch of war horses, which will be enough to fight against the Flame Dragon mercenary group. Third, the Longdan Army Camp has a few very powerful generals, including Luo Yu, who has stepped into the Heaven Realm. Master Fengshi, do you have these? Fengshi was actually speechless and said, even so, our Flame Wolves mercenary group has no reason to join you. Oh, you do? Lin Muyu smiled faintly. You don't have money, whether it is weapons or war horses, they are very scarce. Look at the weapons used by the people outside, many of them have been seriously worn out. Do you want your brothers to take such equipment and risk their lives against the Flame Dragon mercenary group? Fengshi was speechless and said, Our Flame Wolves mercenary group has rarely plundered in the past half a year, and only recuperated in Xian Mist Town, otherwise. Lin Muyu smiled. Commander Fengshi, since you don't want to do things that go against your conscience, why don't you join the Longdan Army Camp? As long as you join the Longdan Army Camp, I promise to equip each of you with war horses, excellent weapons and suitable armor. I will keep my word. Really? Fengshi was a little bit tempted, and when he said these words he was a little bit regretful. He shook his head and laughed at himself. Poor people are short of ambition. Lin Muyu couldn't help laughing. The Longdan Army Camp never plunders people, nor does it indiscriminately kill the innocent. Isn't this enough for you to join us? As long as you join the Longdan Army Camp, I can make you the deputy commander. How about it? But if you must be the enemy of the Longdan Army Camp, then... Lin Muyu pointed at the military rank on her collar and said with a threatening smile, that is to be the enemy of the whole empire. Even if you kill me here, my brothers Feng Jixing and Qin Lei will lead tens of thousands of people to flatten your Flame Wolves mercenary group. Alas, Fengshi finally couldn't bear this kind of psychological pressure. His eyes turned red and he said in pain, Then how can I believe your promise to me that you have enough capital to provide equipment for 2,000 people? Lin Muyu reached into her Qinkuan bag, took out a handful of diamond coins and sprinkled them on the table. Is this proof enough? Fengshi was shocked, and the mercenaries at the side were also surprised. They were actually of civilian origin, and after becoming mercenaries they earned a lot of money, but it was only in gold coins. They rarely saw diamond coins. Alright, when do we set off for Dragon Rocky Mountain? Let's do it today. It's better to leave earlier than later. Fengshi's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Then how can you be sure that I won't play tricks, take the opportunity to take down Dragon Rocky Mountain, and replace the Longdan Army Camp? Lin Muyu smiled faintly and slowly opened the 5 fingers of her right hand. A small indigo gourd slowly rose from her palm, and the mighty fighting energy turned into light purple 7 luminaries profound energy. For a moment a strong wind raged, blowing the surrounding people back. His eyes were indifferent and he said with a smile, Because I can easily kill you, so why should I worry? You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.